gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down. Cut the fix up with some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down.
I was in a lot of places in Italy where you weren't allowed to take pictures, like certain churches and stuff.
Why was
and
that?
I was thinking, I was like, I don't know. God doesn't like pictures. And
is it God or the Italians?
Maybe a little bit of both. I really don't know.
Did you
but they
did you hit him with the bobbity boopity or?
I hit him with the bobbity boopity. I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be cool to have the those glasses that just like have the camera built in? Because like you go to the Sistine Chapel and they're like, you cannot talk, you cannot pull out your phone. We will stick the Swiss guard on you. I was like, all right, okay. All right.
That sounds dangerous. Hey guys, thank you all for joining us on the fix. Yeah, they heard all of that.
We call that a cold open.
Yeah, yeah. They heard all of that. So I want to make sure that you guys can hear everybody in the Discord. So, guys, if you could say a few words, and the guys in the chat, if you're here, if you would let us know if you can hear them. I'll start with you, Danny. Welcome back from Italy, brother, and welcome back as, you know, the co-star, as I say.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell the good folks about your journey, and you know,
man,
yeah,
Italy was super cool. I was there for exactly the right amount of time, though, I think, because basically, like the last day I was there, I was like, it sure would be nice to sleep in my own bed. But it was really cool. Standouts are Venice and Rome was great. There's so much history. One thing I will say is that was a little overplayed is the food. I feel like people are always like, Italian food is so amazing, it's so great, and it is, but the flavors of it are very muted, like very tame, calm, like just cheese and bread type flavors. Not a lot of spice. And so coming back to Texas was real nice to get some like barbecue Mexican food and like proper flavors going again.
Yeah. So
was seasoning?
Was the food? It wasn't serviceable. Is that what you're telling us?
It was good, but it was like it felt. I don't know how to describe it other than like dainty. Like it was very like little course sizes and like very mild flavors. And I was like, this is good.
Well, you're in America, man. Like their large is your small. You know, it is what
that's
it is.
true. Well, the other thing is like a lot of their restaurants, because you know people there, I assume must cook at home more often. But their restaurants break up the menus into like different courses, like pretty much all of them, where they kind of expect you to only be eating there, I guess, if it's like some special occasion. So it's like you'll have a starter and then like a first course and a second course. And so each of the individual courses are pretty small, but are also still, you know, 16 to 25 euro, which is too much. So we ended up most of the time just ordering one and then we were eating throughout the whole day anyway, because like Italy is the land of food, so every so often we were stopping at cafes and getting like little sandwiches or whatever. Anyway, we were never hungry,
right?
But we only did like the full like 3-course meal twice, and both times, actually one of the times was at Ezio's own Monteriggioni, and it was like the best meal I've had. It was so good, actually.
Did you find, you know, the question I really have to ask is, did you find any fine Italian women out there that you were interested in?
Hey now,
there were a couple. One thing that I will note, and you know, I hope this doesn't come as an insult to the Italians who may or may not be listening. the women were largely very attractive. The men were all pretty gross. I don't know if it was tourists I was seeing or what, but they were like, they looked like third string extras in a Godfather movie. Like they were not holding up the expectations. But hey, you know, it was a nice place. I really loved it. It really was like everywhere you turned, it was like, well, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and so is that. And wow, that's the Coliseum. What a great time.
Nice. Yeah, man. Well, welcome back. Glad you enjoyed your stay out there and everything like that, and got your boppity boopity on and everything. Yeah, welcome
Yes,
back.
sir.
So you saw the showcase, of course. I call it the new E3, you know. But
I did. I think I saw some of them late. So I saw the state of play like on the 6th or whatever, because I barely had internet the whole time I was there. That state of play was really bad. I'm sure you already talked about it. That state of play was like largely pointless, and then Astrobot.
We didn't get a chance to get too much into it, but because it happened like last week, so this is our first time on the show talking about it. But I came away with like a 6 out of 10, honestly. Hargeet, what did you come from? By the way, let me introduce our guests first while I'm asking these questions. Let me do that first. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the esteemed bearded brothers. I call them Hargeet and TKO, as he put himself, Asante.
Oh, stop.
The bearded brothers. I saw you guys' images and stuff out there. And I also want to welcome my brother Donte Spriggan here on the screen, as you guys can see.
Donte, what's
yes.
up? Hey, yo.
Welcome, fellas. Hargeet, I'll start with you. With the Summer Game Fest yourself, like what was your takeaway? Because I remember you had a favorable view of them last year, even, and I didn't care for it last year.
Yeah, I like this one even more, and you know, I was in the minority. Obviously, a lot of people seem to hate it. Even within our group, I think there were a couple of people who were like, "Yeah, this is okay, this is good," but the majority seemed to think it was very low. We're talking like 3 to 5, right? 3, 4, 5s. That was what most of the people thought. I gave it an 8.5, and you know, there's a couple of things in there that resonated with me. Now, as people might or might not know, I kind of play a variety of games. So when I see indie games, I'm not like thrown off, right? I think people wanted to see 1 or 2 blockbuster AAA type announcements, and I guess they weren't really there. And I think that threw it off for a lot of people. But most of the stuff I saw, I liked. The first hour was great. The second hour kind of slowed down for me. Which was kind of disappointing. So if they had kind of landed it at the end, I'd have said, okay, cool, that's a 9, but it really didn't. Okay. So a couple of things that seemed to, I don't know if we want to delve into it, but a couple of things that like seem to stand out for me. Unknown 9 Awakening. That game is, if people don't remember, it had an Indian protagonist, right? An Indian female protagonist.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. I had to think about it.
Right. And the game loop looked pretty cool. Like you could kind of jump into other people's bodies and like do stuff like your soul would be able to control them, right? That kind of thing. Like it seemed pretty cool. Like there was some interesting mechanic going on there. I of course have a bias that, hey, this is something that's not freaking Japan or the Western world. This is awesome. Now, granted, it's made by a studio in, I believe they're in Montreal. I would certainly prefer if it was made in India, but fine. At least they're trying. That's cool, right? It's something. I'll give them credit for at least trying to do something outside of the norm. So to me that resonated. I really liked that one. Killer Bean and Cuff Bust were the 2 comical games. Very hilarious. They seemed really cool. Neva looked good. Black Myth Wukong. It keeps looking great. Yes, they did announce the Xbox version will be delayed a bit. Fine, I don't care. It's still coming. It'll be fine, right? So, but yeah, that looks pretty good. There was First Descendant, Metaphor. We saw a bit more of that. And is Metaphor like coming to Game Pass?
Yeah, Metaphor, ReFantazio, I believe so.
Yeah.
Now, see, this is the thing about it for me. That did look really good. I will agree with you there. But like some of the games we had already seen there, because some people tried to hold that against Xbox. He told
you that, right?
Yeah. So, now, to be fair, he did warn us ahead of time. He did say
exactly. We saw Quidditch, which looked okay. I mean, the Quidditch game looked okay.
Yeah, I didn't care for that one.
It kind of had that like Disney Dreamlight Valley art style.
I didn't like
it. It wasn't.
And,
like
you know,
I have interest in the idea of a Quidditch game. There was
Yeah,
something about this
exactly.
one where I was like, it's probably fine, but
We'll have to see, right? We'll see what they do with it, right? The Batman VR actually looked kind of cool. I don't know if people ever played the one that was on PlayStation, but I liked it a lot. It was like the only thing that was really a standout for me when I had PSVR 1 was that Batman experience. It was really good. And if they can make
It's
that
also on
into something
PC.
bigger. So yeah, exactly. Well,
Wow.
so it came over to PCVR. That's awesome.
He had to make sure you
But I played it
understood.
there. I put it on PSVR.
well, look, even if it was on just on PSVR, it'd be on PC now, right? So
That's true.
Well,
Yeah,
it's kind of garbage on PlayStation because it was very bad optics. But I'm sorry, continue.
No, hey,
Yep.
we needed that context. That's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but yeah, so that looks like it might be something cool. I believe it's Steam, right? That's Steam VR, right? But anyway, so but that looks good.
No, actually, I think it's Meta.
think it's-
But continue.
yeah.
Was it Meta
Meta
Quest?
You're right,
exclusive.
Yeah, it was Meta,
Mhm.
right? Meta exclusive.
It
right?
must be
Okay.
because a friend of mine reached out to me and was like, "What the hell is meta?"
Meta.
But
as
in those
Steam
worlds,
versus
you can
Steam
fuzz it. If you have
versus-
Steam VR, you can make it work. It's fine.
yeah.
But anyway, so the big standout, which you'll laugh at, but it is what it is Lego Horizon. Why?
Oh.
It's a PlayStation game launching on Nintendo Switch.
See?
Yes.
See,
Yeah,
his
I will-
only interest, is for the slander.
I love
It's his
I
only
love
interest.
Lego games.
Shaking
I
my
love
head.
Lego games.
yeah.
I will play it. I love the Lego games.
Is that why
right?
you are excited? Because you love Lego games, or because you have the slander? Be honest.
No,
Well, it
like
can
the
be
last one
both.
they made was Star Wars, and as you know, I don't care about Star Wars, right? So I didn't play that one. So like I've been waiting for the next Lego game, which I don't know why they don't make more. But anyways, they used to make like one every year or two, right? But anyway, so this is the next one. I'm like, yeah, cool, this is awesome. And then they have that logo.
That was really funny.
That was-
I will agree that
that-
I think the like what that means for PlayStation, I think is very cool and interesting. I don't think the game
Yes.
itself interests me at all.
It interests me. I like Lego games, right? As I said, so I'm gonna buy it on Switch and I'm gonna buy it on Steam. I'm probably gonna play it on Steam, but it doesn't
do that,
matter. I'm gonna
double
support
dipping.
the Switch.
So that was a highlight for you for seeing that was the
So, like that was the first game they showed. By
It
the way, was
was.
the Lego
Yeah.
Horizon.
yeah.
And I'm like, yo, it's an 8 right now. It's already an 8. It's already an 8.
But that was
They showed
already
the
spoiled
individual
though.
logo.
That was already spoiled
Yeah, it
before
was
the
like
show.
rumored or something.
Not
was-
that it was coming to Switch.
No, it was
Yeah, no,
flat
that's
out.
not
It was flat out shown. Like I believe that both. It was
Oh,
coming to the
really?
Switch too. Yeah. Am I wrong, Kay? I believe it
Wow.
was. Yeah, that was
I
leaked
don't
before
remember
the show.
seeing it. I did know that it was leaked before the show, but I don't remember seeing it coming to the Switch.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I know it was leaked.
But then again, remember,
Yeah.
this is before the show when Hargeet and I were like, Hargeet, I and Donte, eyes agape, excited to get to the show. We weren't.
fair
checking
enough.
Twitter.
That's a fair
We-
point. That's
we-
a good point.
We
You
were,
guys
we were
weren't
busy
there.
getting slandered by the Keeleys trying to tell us that we couldn't bring our gimbals into the show. But that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another thing. But yeah, so I
Oh,
gave
yeah.
it a
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
good rating. There were so many other games. There was some 64, I think, announcements. There's the Street Fighter stuff. There was a whole bunch of other things, right? There was
Yeah.
why am I forgetting the cartoon, the 90s cartoon? Not cartoon, you know what I mean? The show.
You mean
Power Rangers.
Teenage
Power
Mutant-
Oh, Power Rangers look
Power
good.
Rangers.
Yes,
Yeah, that looks
cool.
good.
That was cool.
Yeah.
So that looks cool, right? There's so many like those kind of announcements that were like, wow, this is pretty good. So I thought it was pretty good. I think
Okay.
the second half kind of soured people, and I think the fact that there was no big like
reveals.
known AAA thing.
I
right,
think that
that,
was the
you know,
case too.
Yeah.
I did say the
Yeah.
same. I thought that the lack of big AAA games like kind of hurt it, but also too, I kind of measured that with what he said beforehand. He said temper your expectations. So I did.
Yeah.
And
He did. But
Yeah.
I feel like he also kind of says that like every year.
I-
I just don't think
Yeah.
Summer Game Fest has the same. Like, I mean, obviously it doesn't have the same
Je ne sais quoi.
weight. Yeah,
as
the weight
E3.
is like the Game Awards. Well, or
Well,
E3.
so the
Um,
problem they run into is everybody else has a showcase now, right? And
Mhm.
Xbox is not going to give them anything because they literally a
They
couple of days
shouldn't.
later they have their showcase.
Yeah.
Right.
It
Right.
just makes no sense. Right, and then Ubisoft is doing their own thing. And what's interesting is Ubisoft could have put AC Shadows instead of on the Xbox
could have.
showcase. They could
Could
have
have
put
put
it
it
here.
here.
They did not.
Yeah.
Well, they did Star
Um,
Wars, so I guess they had
Right,
something.
so yeah, they had something, but like
Star Wars,
I
by
think
the
this
way,
is kind of
looks
the thing that's gonna keep-
excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of the thing that we're running into here. Is it's like the other people have their own stuff now,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and I don't know if he's gonna get anything at the summer one.
Probably not.
Gamescom's gonna be another interesting one. I don't know
Yeah.
if there
He's
will
in
be
a tough
enough.
spot, man. Going
That was
one of
forward,
the
he's in a
things
tough spot.
that annoyed me about
Yeah.
this one was because I didn't like it as much as you, but I didn't hate it as much as the people, whoever it was that was giving it like a 3. I don't know where I would rank it, but not on those two ends.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between. It was one of the things that really annoyed me is a lot of the games I was interested in, like Star Wars or whatever, had seen before, yes, but also a lot of them were just using Summer Game Fest as like a billboard to be like, we're going to be on a more interesting show either later this week or even, I think, like next month, because they pointed at Gamescom a bunch of times.
Yeah. So
and so I was kind of just like, okay, so this feels less like a showcase of its own as much as it is like a advertisement for the rest of the shows, which I'm fine with, but I wish that this had more things that I was personally interested in, because like I was really interested in Civ 7, but they didn't show anything. It was basically just like, this exists. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. That's pretty much what he had, just an introduction announcement.
Pretty cool though, right?
Yeah.
Giving you something. And if you're an Alan Wake fan, right, they had the new DLC.
That was the big thing for me, which I actually haven't played yet, but I'm doing that soon.
So, and I did notice that they showed Mecha Break, which I thought looked good, but then Microsoft showed it too at theirs. So.
They showed it so many places this week.
I think that looks pretty good. But
I had watched Space Marine 2 was another one here that I thought looked really good.
Oh, Space Marine 2. I'm already sold on that.
Yeah, for sure.
And Space Marine 2 is Game Pass, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure about that, because at first I thought it was, but then now I'm starting to see like it. I'm not seeing any messaging that's saying it is coming to Game Pass, so I'm not sure about that one. But that aside, I came to a score of 6 out of 10 for Summer Game Fest, and I think I was being generous. Most people I saw were like 5 and less, so.
Yeah,
I came to a 6, but I do appreciate how you come at it though, Hargi, because like even when I saw you being interviewed by Laura Cognito, shout out to Laura Cognito and the Iron Lords, you said you go into games, the way you go into it with the thought of not any expectations, just to come into it. And I think that's why you come out with a more positive review overall typically. So I do appreciate that way. Maybe more of us need to do it that way. But that said, Donte, my brother, you've been silent. I don't know if you're here. You here?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Just let people get the intros off and talk.
There you go. Okay. And of course, you also were out there, of course, with the brothers here, and you enjoyed yourself, I'm sure. And I saw your many pictures and brotherhood, and I was quite jealous and like, man, why am I not there?
That's a good question, man.
Listen,
Get out there, man.
I got to get out there next year. I have to get out there next year. So, what was your view of the Summer Game Fest, and like what was your takeaway? What was your score if you had to score it?
Probably like around the 6 range, 6 out of 10 if we're doing it that way. I just don't think. I think he's kind of in a tough position because, like right now, the large publishers, I would say, like let's say Xbox, obviously Sony, and then like even Ubisoft, who are doing their showcases around that time, it seems like they're keeping their big games for their showcases. So it's kind of like before, Xbox would say, okay, that's the thing that's going to get the large amount of eyes. Let's go ahead and get our games in front of them, so that way we can get as many eyes on as possible. But like when you got some of the biggest IPs in gaming, it's like you don't, that incentive to pay to have your game on Keeley's show doesn't really make sense as much, right?
Yeah, especially with yours about to come like a day, 2 days later, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think he's having a harder time procuring those kind of like wow moments, which is like usually what you would probably, that's what you want to see. Like I saw a bunch of games that were even announced, and they would say like, stay tuned for Gamescom for the trailer, and it's like, dog, I'm watching you right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you telling me to stay tuned for something that's coming later in the year when I'm watching you right now? How come something isn't available to show like right now? This is the big, like supposed to be one of the biggest shows of the summer. I know he wants to kind of be the big new E3 thing, right? So it's kind of like, if you're going to be the big dog, you got to have some of the big showings. And I just don't think right now he has it. And I think that was reflective in when he put up his poll, and most people came in saying that like, hey, it's like a D. And I think that's what he has to kind of accept right now, is how do I procure to get someone to say, hey, instead of holding it for my show, how do I get a big type of break on our show instead? And then like you guys show maybe a more extended version on your show if Xbox like has something for one of their studios, and same thing for like Ubisoft and obviously Sony. I think is just still trying to play like let's get our house in order. They're still probably trying to course correct from COVID and actually getting their studios to get games where they need to be. There in a little bit of a lull right now.
Speaking of that, if I can interject for a second, speaking of COVID and sicknesses, I heard all of you guys got sick, and you sound a little down actually. Did you get sick too?
Yeah.
Everybody, I heard you, Kay, who else was it? Holly. A bunch of you guys caught it. I heard it was John, Sycamechanico, who like passed it off. He was patient zero.
They brought the happiness for us.
I don't think it's all him. I think the sickness is around.
Oh
yeah,
man.
I think somebody else.
It's not big with many people coming in from different parts of the country. You're down to have a few people bring something in. So
wear some masks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it happens. I was a little bit late because I came in on Saturday. I wasn't there on Thursday and Friday, so I came in on Saturday. So some people whoever they contacted it from, they most likely probably got it a little bit days before me, and then I'm around the same people.
Right.
You know, so it's like I got the effects where yesterday was my real trash day. Feel a little bit better today, but obviously you can still hear it in the voice. So
yeah, I can hear it a bit. Hope you feel better soon, all of you guys. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt though, but you were speaking on just in general of how they're balancing it out, all these different publishers and such, which makes sense. I mean, you and Hargeet are right about that. Like, clearly, they're not. Microsoft would be stupid to give him their stuff when they have all this to present. Like, why would you? And and from what we heard from Paris and others, you know, that they're spreading some out to what Hargeet was alluding to at Gamescom. So, or Com, is it? Is it Gamescom or Com?
Gamescom.
Okay, yeah. Pause, by the way, saying it that way. But yeah. So for you, what was your biggest takeaway? I'm guessing obviously the Lego Horizon, but outside of that, did anything else wow you there at Summer Game Fest?
For Summer Games Fest, I would say for me the Alan Wake DLC, to be quite honest, and that's telling you something, right? That is the biggest thing that like stuck out to me. That was like, yeah, you know, I'm interested in that. Not saying that the other games are bad. You know, there's stuff there for everybody, but I just feel like those shows you kind of expect that he's going to have a few like, here's a world premiere of something that's pretty big, right? So you don't got something big coming in. You don't have Kojima coming in and saying, yo, I'm giving you this first or whatever the case is. You don't got some, like if he would came out and it's like, yo, Bloodborne 2, here's a sneak peek or something like that. Then I'm pretty for sure it would get like crazy ratings, right? That alone would be, oh yeah, that's a B or A for a lot of people if he would have had something big. But that's it. He's having a hard time right now procuring that. And I think that's kind of 2 years in a row where his summer show has been a little kind of on the lacking side. And you know, like it's kind of like, man, I don't know how you can't coming back next year, you can't do the same thing, right? You can't come back and have the same type of show and get the same type of response because people are going to be like, why are we tuning in for this? And why like, you know, like a big publisher will be like, Xbox probably gonna get a lot of eyes on their show. So I read that from third party. Maybe I'll just pay Xbox to put it on theirs as opposed to Summer Games Fest if you can't really get those going.
And so, I almost had a thought that Microsoft might offer them less, if not just take it off their hands and altogether to put it on their showcase.
Oh, for the association. So you can say like this is an Xbox game.
And it not even sense. But yeah, like Microsoft gets the benefit of that, also displaying it on their, you know, presentation, but also these publishers or whomever, be they smaller, like for instance that Winter's I forgot
Winter's Burrow, the like, little mouse game.
Like all those might be presented free of cost, I imagine, for Microsoft.
Yeah, I have to imagine the indie developers aren't paying as much because they don't have as much to pay, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But like the Killer Bean guy didn't whip out whatever $250,000 or whatever it was to get his thing on that show. That's not realistic.
Oddly enough, the Killer Bean game actually piqued my interest.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I must be out of touch on that one because for me that one was like baby steps. It was bad for me.
I liked it, man. I was kind of like, what is this ridiculousness? Listen.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious.
It looks hilarious, right? And
right?
as weird as that one might seem, you have a game right now in its Steam top, I think 5 or 10 where you just click on a banana. So listen,
maybe people are man. Society is going downhill real fast. Banana is top 10.
But Donte, you said you came through with probably like a 6 out of 10, like myself, then, right?
Yeah. Again, it's not horrible. I'm never gonna sit there and like. I think we easily throw around like words like, you know, trash and garbage. It's like these are,
I agree.
You know, hardworking people who are trying to bring their craft and put their art forward for people to just easily be like, oh,
Yeah.
trash. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'll never be that type of person, but I think just what you would expect for a huge show coming from Jeff Keighley, even for his own expectations, his body language didn't seem like he felt like he had a solid show, right? So that right there kind of tells you like he felt like he felt similar to how he felt last year, where he kind of like, a lot of stuff isn't ready for me to show, or I don't got stuff available to show, one of the two. So from that standpoint, I don't think it lived up to his expectations of what he would want for his summer show. So it's going to be a 6 out of 10. At least that's how I view it. Again, not terrible, just didn't have enough like wow moments for me to be like, yeah, that was really, really dope. Really, can't wait to tune in next year to see what else he's going to have. That's going to be like a really, really wow or dope moment. So I didn't see any of that, man.
Yeah.
The thing that's weird about that to me too is that it's like, because the thought is that he didn't have a lot of the big games because they were all doing their own thing. But when I look at it, unless I missed something, the only big publishers I can think of that did anything around the same time were PlayStation, Xbox, and Ubisoft. And PlayStation and Ubisoft both showed something at his conference. So, I look at it and I'm like, I guess 2K had Civ, so they were in there. EA, were they present there in some way? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's like, because there were a ton of shows, but in terms of like ones that were particularly worth watching, there weren't a ton this year. I think there's supposed to be a Nintendo Direct at some point. I think I saw that rumored, or it's always rumored, but whatever.
Right.
So like, if this is a relatively slow year in terms of how many big name shows there are, and this is still the amount of things he was able to get, like, it does have me a little concerned for it going forward. Because I'm not even like super disappointed in the games that were shown. I think there was a handful of them that I was decently interested in. But for me, one of the biggest issues I've always had with Summer Game Fest is the presentation of it. I don't think they do a good job of actually like showing it in a stream, right? It's a lot of Jeff on stage interviewing people in like a really weird, stilted fashion. I don't think he has the charisma to be a host for something.
He does not have the charisma at all. By the way, I saw a lot of nervous people up there too, a lot of nervous presenters and such.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that a lot when you were out there? Like how nervous, like that one lady was so stuck. She had literally froze, like couldn't say anything.
You're talking about, what was her name? Curious Joy or something?
Curious Joy.
Yeah, I don't know why she was even there. I know he decided to just bring her in, but I'm not sure what the heck the reason was to bring her.
I think she's like part of the fighting game community. People like her a lot, but I don't think she was prepared to be on stage.
She definitely wasn't.
So she did kind of lock up a little bit, which is understandable.
Yeah, you're in front of a lot of people. You're in front of the world. I get it.
Yeah.
At some point, so
But I was like, on top of that, I was like, I don't think the pacing was great. And then like, it's always been weird to me to have ad breaks in a conference that's like already technically all ads.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's something about it that just has never meshed well with me in terms of the actual presentation of his shows.
I agree with that overall, honestly. I'll give him credit that he didn't have like these musical performances and stuff. Like that I always thought was like unnecessary. For the VGAs, I get it more because you're probably going to be presenting for people for music and stuff. So that makes sense. But just in general, I'm like, we don't need that. I will say too, I thought the pacing was a little and especially like Hargeet highlighted, the second half is where it really felt it.
There was no reason for this thing to be 2 hours long.
Yeah. Contrast that with Xboxes, and it was like night and day. But in moving on to our last bearded brother, my brother K Asante, for you, it was your first time being out there in LA and enjoying all of the spectacle. And what was it like for you, your first time going out there, meeting everybody and going to Summer Game Fest? What was your takeaway for everything?
Bro, it was amazing. It was amazing getting to meet these fine gentlemen in person, hanging out. It's the best way I've been able to describe it is it's like meeting great friends for the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like meeting great friends for the first time, which is a misnomer because if you've met them for the first time, they aren't great friends, but you know them so well. You've spoken to them for so many times, right? You know these people as if they're your brothers, and you've seen them many, many times. But this is the first time you're actually meeting them in person. And there were a lot of those, meeting Holly, meeting Colt Eastwood, all these other folks. It was absolutely excellent, right? And because of that, and me, this is my first time doing it. That a lot of these folks have been able to have the benefit of coming back multiple times, so it was kind of older hat for them than me. But I will tell you that it made me have to go back and rewatch all these shows again when I came home to kind of get a real sense of it. Because in the room where it happened, it was just you were a slave to the emotions of the crowd. You know what I mean? It was a fun situation to be in. It was really, really cool. But okay, so to speak to the Summer Game Fest real quick, I will say the stepping stones point that Daniel, you were making. I will put this thing in the chat real quick in the Discord DM. That is where I'm getting my proof from. Just like a minute and a half cost $350,000.
It's a lot of money.
2 minutes is $450,000, right? A minute, let's see, 2.5 minutes is $550,000. So why would they spend time showing you a trailer and showing you all the nitty gritty when they can go come to my free stream where I'll show you the real stuff? You know what I mean? That's
kind of like like when you're waiting in line for a Disney ride or something, and they've got all the like posters up for the other rides. You're like, we should do that.
That's right.
We should do that.
That's
man.
right.
It's like you're a captive audience. This is the highway you go through to get to the rest of showcase season.
Indeed.
So
absolutely.
I mean, it makes sense just to like slap a billboard up there. But you're right. I absolutely can't blame someone for not being like, here's a $500,000 long trailer. You know.
And by the way, I would, and this is speculation on my part because I was digging through and I couldn't find it, but I would tell you, I would speculate, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I bet Konami and Ubisoft and all of them don't pay a dime to show their stuff on Xbox's stage.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
They don't pay a dime.
Well,
yeah. So why would you do? Because right now they are publisher mode. They're in, hey, our tent is big. There's so much to do here. We need all of you guys to join us. There is no way they would be like charging them money for that, because then they'll just keep it their own wares. I bet the conversation now becomes either you go to Keeley's and you pay thousands of dollars per minute, or you come to us and we'll showcase you free of charge.
I would actually argue even that Jeff should be giving them a break too, in terms of like the bigger games. He should be giving them a break too, to like raise the prestige of his shows. I don't think Game Awards needs it, because Game Awards has that. But Summer Game Fest, I've never heard anyone be like, this is an amazing show. This is like, I've heard people say it's the new E3, but I think that's kind of a missioner.
But you know what?
It's not
just what you see on the screen. Like, and I put the thing in the chat. You can read it. Like they have private cabanas where they host like, you know, where you can do the private, talk to people and let them play your game. $50,000 for 3 days. Parking, entry badges, $20,000 per day. You know, this man is hosting a business, baby. And people are sick and tired of paying for that stuff, especially when Xbox is right over here a day later going, hey man, join us. You know, we'll put you on the stage.
I mean, the Summer Game Fest Play Days thing, right? That allows gamers, not gamers, like media to play games ahead of time, right? I mean, that is a service. It is something that I don't know how you fund it, right? But
the other part is funding, no doubt. Yeah,
for sure.
The thing you're mentioning, as far as, you know, having to pay to be on his stage, usually the opposite happens if you're on one of the platforms, right? You co-market, and the marketing is paid for by the platform, right? So that's usually what ends up happening. Is usually you get a check from the platform on top of
for being able to show your game. That's right.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you know, they will help you market it, right? So they pay for the marketing.
That's what I was thinking with Xbox.
It's a good gig if you can get it.
With you guys out there, did you guys get a chance to play any of these games behind the scenes? That's what one of the questions I was thinking about.
A few things, believe it or not, but it was more for IGN Live, funny enough, where they had it available to anybody who joined IGN Live. And I actually played some fun stuff there.
I think that might be a better format, right, going forward. The only downside is I don't know if they could put games that are under embargo in there. Maybe they could work out something to have like an embargo room and like have like actual media credentialed people be able to go there, content creators go there, right? They have to take your camera or whatever, but you know, that is a potential, like, because that it's good to have competition, and it turned out IGN Live was actually pretty cool. It was
pretty decent. I enjoyed myself.
Trying to win you guys over.
Large, well, hey man, it wasn't bad. It was a fun show. It was a more a fan show, so there were lots to do for fans. Arcade setups, you could watch a lot of stuff going on. It was
dope,
a smaller event.
I
think next year they should make it bigger. If you happen to go next year, go to IGN Live. It was actually pretty cool. But to get back to my point, by and large, I gave it about a 7.5. I didn't think it was terrible. I love my indies.
I do too.
A lot of those indies hit me really, really well. Like I enjoyed what I saw. Right.
Yeah.
Some of the 1-2 man team stuff was pretty cool and pretty interesting. It's funny you say so. That's why I'm a slave to what happens in the room. When Killer Bean hit, the crowd erupted in glorious laughter.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked it, man. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, it looked cool. It was funny. It looked like it would just be something fun to run through and play.
One man did that, so I'm like, hey man, I definitely want to try that. And by the way, let's be honest, that man don't look like a bean. I'm just saying.
You saw what I put in the chat. You know what I called it. It looked like a phallus, right? So I'm not going to go into it.
I was about to say, calling it Killer Scrote won't hurt. It won't be good. So Killer Bean is better.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. But no, it was okay. But to Dante's point, like in between because y'all saw on the screen, you see him, and I think Luke Lore also make mention of that. You see him on the screen, you see him, announce the next game, and then the stream cuts to the next game, and then we see what happens behind. And behind, it's almost like the shoulder shrug. He's like, he doesn't want to be there. He just turns around and walks away.
Yeah.
He goes, I wish there was a Muppet here.
I'm telling you, like he was not happy to be there. You could just tell. Tell. It was a very weird vibe. And that wasn't only it. Like a lot of people had a chance to speak with the man. And I don't think anyone had a good experience talking or meeting
have
meeting
you
him.
spoken to him before?
I have spoken to him once a long time ago.
Okay.
Yes, I spoke to him like in Comic-Con a long time ago.
But even with that, yeah, he had a different energy this time.
He was a little down. I heard from most people that he was kind of had a negative little cloud over his head. Yeah.
Well, I think that's because he probably knows, right?
Happy.
Like you know what you got, and you have.
By the way, the opposite.
What the competition is doing, you have an idea what's happening. You don't got.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He has his ear to the ground with the industry.
Absolutely.
But the opposite with the Xbox, folks. They were.
Everybody was buzzing on the Xbox show. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Yes. So I met him in 2008 when I went to Comic-Con. He was a nice person. I met him with Major Nelson. Both very, very nice, very forward. Very, very. But of course, at that time they didn't have. Well, he didn't have the position he has now. So I don't know. Maybe
time
he was
has
having
been
a bad
bitter
week.
to him. Yeah.
Maybe he was having a bad week. Something happened. Who knows? But it just the show itself in a vacuum. I thought it was decent, but the show of his shows that we've come to know have been far better from a AAA monster perspective than now. So I understand why people gave him a D.
Yeah, I think people expect this to mirror the Game Awards, and it's like you should not, right? The Game Awards is its own little beast.
I think people kind of see it because it's a summer situation to mirror E3. And to that point, Jeff kind of wrote off E3 a few times. I remember he was kind of like, E3 is dead, basically, like it's my time. And now he kind of has to live up to that legacy, and I don't think he kind of has overall. Microsoft, I believe, has though. And we'll get into that.
If we think about E3, is E3 really, what we were expecting to see when you're not going there was more the showcases from the publishers, right?
Right.
Which I mean, they're still kind of there. EA's kind of stopped doing theirs, right? They just kind of put their games out, some other places. But the big thing I think that's lacking is Nintendo and Sony.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing, right?
Don't you think it should be the opposite way? Because like SGA is the big thing, right? And that's where the big trailers get shown. But it's like that is supposed to be the awards show, right? That's supposed to be for the people who make the games in celebration for them.
Is it really though, Dante? Is it really though?
Right?
Look at these awards. Now back to the trailers.
Right. It's literally that, and it's about putting on the big trailers. The people who actually get the awards get like some of them get their stuff announced when it's not even on screen, right? It's kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, while we're at break, the following one X. So shouldn't the Summer Games Fest be the bigger thing where it's about
That's a
showing you
good point.
what's coming up? And then the
Yeah.
award show is actually about celebrating the people who are making the game.
That's a really good point.
Awards.
Maybe they might have to do some transition and some changes on that going forward next year. Yeah, I think you make a good point with that. Like maybe he should shift, or they should try to get some of the publishers to shift.
The facade has dropped, man. That's what it is. People hear what he says, and it does not translate to what we see on the screen. We're here to celebrate games. No, you're not. We're here to celebrate awards. No, you're not.
Yeah,
and it's starting to be clear. You know what I mean? It's not genuine in its pursuits, and it's starting to be more clear on that. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm kind of jaded about this sort of thing, but whenever he started the show and he was like, indie games sure are great. They're really good. I was like, oh, so this is going to be an indie game show, huh? I was like, you're hyping up indies because that's what you got.
Yeah, I will say this, that like much like how you and Hargeet came away with it, I play a lot too, Hargeet. Now, though probably not into many genres as you, but I do like to play a lot, and I love indies like UK. And so a lot of these spoke to me, especially since I've been kind of on this, PC journey. So seeing all these games, it's Steam, PlayStation, but they're ignoring Xbox.
Remember, you mentioned the next big problem.
What's
a
that?
lot of those logos were Steam.
Yeah.
They weren't Xbox and
Exactly.
PlayStation, and I think that pushed the core gamers away.
I think so too.
And that's why his score went to a D. Because I saw, game for me.
That's what it was for me. That's why I came to a
get outta here.
6. Yeah, I came to a 6 because of that. If I was just on Xbox still, just Xbox alone, and not having the PC, I would have been like, But since a lot of those speak to me, since I can play them, and
and you now have access.
Yeah, I have access, and I've become more accustomed to it. Like, it's like, okay, no, I'll play that. I'll play this, and I'll play that too. So definitely. So moving on though, I want to go get us to the actual E3, the Xbox.
Yeah.
Xbox had one of, I think, honestly, their best showcase of all time. I'm going to put it in the upper echelons of best showcases, period.
I think it is the best.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen one as good as that.
Ooh.
Right? Can somebody point one out? I would love to just compare it, right? What would be better?
I had one. I had this discussion. People might mention that one.
I wouldn't make that one better.
Special Nick, my brother Special Nick, he mentioned on Twitter, and I had to combat it. He said that to him, this wasn't, he said, listen, out of respect to whoever feel or whatever feel, he thinks that their 2013 showcase was better than this one. And I had to disagree. And I had to do the math on it.
2013 for who?
For Xbox.
For Xbox.
So he listed that did have some great games, to be fair. They had great games, but when you look at it, it was a matter of 4 Xbox IP exclusives and 3 different third-party exclusives they managed to get, which was like Dead
Rising
3 and a few other Rise and so like they had 3 of those. They had 4 first party. Contrast Sunset Overdrive. Yeah, now that's first party, right? Because the Microsoft they own that IP, that at least part 1. So that contrast that to 17 first party now shown here, and not just shown, but looking spectacular, such as State of Decay 3 here on screen. And a minute ago, we just saw Doom and Call of Duty. No, this was,
and by and large, all of them had even a snippet or a full like gameplay.
Exactly,
a lot of them.
Exactly. Then you go to the third party, and you see stuff like this popping up from BioWare and EA, where we knew about the game, but this is the first time we're actually seeing a little cinematic of it with Dragon Age. And we see Metal Gear Solid Sigma, the actual, or it's a Sigma Delta. You see the actual gameplay of that. Like, and then we see things like Expedition 33, which is coming to Game Pass.
Oh, that was amazing.
It looked amazing.
And by the way, real quick, because we were having this conversation, I forgot to mention part 2, what we talking about, damn it, Space Marine 2 confirmed for Game Pass.
It's confirmed.
Continue.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Cool. Yes,
perfect.
Yes, please continue.
So that all aside, I guess I want to get you guys' thoughts on this too. Let me read this super chat while it's here. Jax82, thank you, brother. He gives a $5 donation. He says, "What do you all expect from Xbox going? Oh, excuse me, Xbox after the showcase, as far as their direction going forward, when they have this year and some of next year covered already?"
Interesting.
Yeah, what's you guys' thoughts on that?
You know what? Let me tackle that real quick. I foresee them realizing what gamers are, which are fickle creatures. And what does that mean? It means at the end of the day, y'all gonna talk and whine and complain. We all are, but then they're gonna hit you with banger after banger in between. Hey, some of these might go elsewhere. More bangers. These things will release sooner than you expect. More bangers. This is what they're gonna do. They're gonna stop talking to you, because every time they talk, there's more talk, and then there's more gloom and doom, less talking. And I expect that the next time you see them on a stage, it won't be regurgitation of what you've already seen. It'll be even more crazy stuff, like even more. Like, and that's this year. You're gonna see even more crazy stuff. You may see release dates, you may not, but I don't think that the lack of release dates is because they're not sure or because it's too far away. It's because they want it to be a couple of weeks from release so they can smack you across the face with surprises.
You know what?
That's what they want to do.
Also, I would say my thought on that is they don't really have to give us that nowadays. If they have a steady cadence of releases as we think they're about to have, I think they'll be fine. And I would rather them not state a release date and then have like, oh yeah, we got to push it back so people can't use that.
They want to under promise and over deliver. That's their mode right now.
And you'll notice something. I'll say this before I go to you guys is that you didn't really see Microsoft coming out like, oh, temper this or setting any thoughts of the showcase. They just said, hey, the showcase will be this on this day. It contrast that to years past, like last year and years before that or whatever. It was kind of like, yeah, it's going to have a good show and temper your expectations or whatever. They just came into this like, here's the show. It's going to be 2 hours long, blah, 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 whatever. And then they just showed us everything and stunned us. Like even
dropped it on the table.
Yeah, they plopped it on the table like, blow. So I'm the leader now. Yeah, even Shattered Space here, the expansion for Starfield looked really good to me. I was just everything looked so good. So Danny, I'll let you go to asking the guys in this. We're going to switch it up a little bit tonight, guys. We'll switch and back and forth to ask you guys your thoughts on this.
Oh, you want me to start? Okay.
Yes.
Well, if I'm first, then I got to start with one that I think really surprised me, and it's also what started the show. I haven't really cared about Call of Duty in a long time. I think the last time I have purchased a Call of Duty was like Black Ops 2. I've played other ones since then, but the last one I cared about enough to buy it was Black Ops 2. If Black Ops 6 was not in Game Pass, I would probably be buying it because it looks really good.
Yeah.
All the things they're talking about with it, with the return to the old prestige. I like the way they're talking about movement. I like the way zombies looks. That campaign trailer got me interested. I'm excited for Call of Duty in a way that I have not been in a very long time. And from what I've seen in the community, it seems like that's a pretty common sentiment. So it's wild that this is also the first one that's, well, I guess the second one being released under Xbox, but the first one being released into Game Pass.
Straight to Game Pass.
I mean, this is a huge moment for them, and I'm really excited to see how it goes for them.
Yeah.
I think we saw that it was like up to like 50 million views on YouTube already,
the highest ever, I believe, right? Of any of the
highest
trailers.
ever for any Call of Duty game. So this is really shaping up to be a really big win for Xbox and for anybody who's going to be able to get it cheaper through Game Pass. So yeah, I was wondering what you all had to think about that. I think, is it Donte? I think you're probably the most likely to have been a Call of Duty fan. Am I wrong on that?
Donte, you still there?
Whip.
Don't tell me the cold got you.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Xbox came back, but doubled down.
Right. Well, I guess you can move to somebody else on it first.
Yeah. Hargeet, have you ever been a Call of Duty fan?
So I play all the campaigns. I rarely play the multiplayer. Zombies is kind of interesting every now and then. So I haven't played Call of Duty for a couple of years. First there was the controversy, which pushed me away from buying. What the heck was that year? It was like 2021, I think, whatever. And Veilguard, maybe?
Oh, Veilguard. Veilguard.
Which I skipped. I'm like, yo, these guys are just assholes. I'm not going to buy their game.
Yeah.
And then the next year they got, we're about to acquire blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, well, if they're going to buy them, then I'm not buying any of these because I'll just wait for them to come to Game Pass. So I've been waiting for like 3 years now. I have not bought a Call of Duty. So I absolutely will definitely play the campaign. That is absolutely something I'll do. But then for multiplayer, we'll see. I think the zombies part of it like is more interesting to me. I like more PvE versus PvP.
Same.
So I'll definitely check out zombies mode. But yeah, so otherwise, yeah, the campaign definitely. I will definitely play the campaign. I assume the last few will not make it into Game Pass for a while. Because of marketing deals with Sony, right? So there's going to be some lockdown. I don't know how many years that is, but
so let me ask about that just before we move to the next person. But speaking of that, because I've seen this question and I even had it myself. What do you all think about them bringing in past games outside of the more recent ones? Why haven't we seen anything in traction with that or those games coming to Game Pass or any Activision games really?
Yeah, I have been surprised about that.
Yeah, maybe this is something they want to keep for Gamescom. I don't know. It's a good question. They could just release them at any time whenever they get the licensing parts worked out. A lot of the headache is that I think they put them all in BattleNet and Steam, and BattleNet needs to kind of be integrated into Game Pass, right? Into either the Microsoft Store or maybe BattleNet just directly gets Game Pass at some point. I don't know what they're working. That's the part I'm not sure about. Maybe Asante, I don't know if you've like heard anything different. But like I just haven't heard what they're doing with BattleNet, if they're gonna totally integrate it with Game Pass or cross and title whatever you have in BattleNet with the Microsoft Store. I'm not sure how that works on the PC side, but they're not gonna do it until they figure that out. The other part of this, the bigger headache, is more likely to do with the cloud licensing, right? So they have to work that out with all the providers that they've signed deals with, right? They have to, for the ones that are in Europe, they have to get those done because that's part of the regulatory requirements. And then as far as the NVIDIA, what is it called? Whatever their cloud is, right?
GeForce, yeah.
GeForce Now, yes, the GeForce Now cloud. Right, they have to put it there, right? All that stuff has to work, and then a lot of the cloud licensing is also like locked to Ubisoft for different regions. I think it might be globally that way, whatever. But they have to work all that crap out, right? And it's a lot of games. They'll just have to figure out what that means. So it might sound like it's easy enough to just turn it on, but a lot of these stupid legalese logistics just freaking take eternities. So unfortunately, because of all the regulatory bullshit, they have to go through all that. And
I guess that
if it was just coming to xCloud, it'd be fine, but it's not. Yeah. It's coming to all these other ones, and it's required, right? It's mandated by all these regulators. So,
and that makes some sense. I see too that Lucius Augustus, shout out to my brother, he says that those older games also need to be ported to the Windows Store, which will take a longer amount of time. So you think that's
that's part of the headache, and I'm not sure if they're doing it Windows Store, if they're just doing BattleNet to Windows Store entitlement, or what, right? Because Diablo, I think it's just BattleNet. BattleNet's their store, right? The
right.
Activision store.
Yeah.
So I think they just did a cross entitlement that allowed you to use it. But again, you might still want to say, hey, I want achievements from that. And if I want achievements from that, then you'd have to do something there, at least have a stub of that on the Microsoft Store so that it has the achievements available. There's all these little nuances, right? Like they'll just have to work through that. Okay. But they'll work through it. It's just grunt work, work that has to be done, and then licensing is just a whole bunch of legalese, right? Like lawyers go figure shit out.
Yeah.
Come back to me.
Okay. Well, Donte, I think you're back now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Right. I don't know what the hell happened there.
Now,
wow.
Yeah. So I think Danny was asking. What was your question to him, Danny?
I was about to.
I was just saying.
I heard him.
Okay.
For some reason, y'all couldn't hear me, but I heard him. So for me, oddly enough, I played a lot of early COD, but I hadn't played for years until the last one that just came out. So Holly actually got me to start playing some COD. So I was playing with her. I used to play a lot, just mainly the campaign. My multiplayer was mostly I'm a more Battlefield Halo guy. So this was my first time kind of getting back into COD with the last one that just came out. But this one actually looked good, man. When they released it, generally even the idea of the direct, I'm kind of like, if you're showing COD and that's going to be the direct, you must feel it's something really good about this, right? Because a lot of people be like, oh, it's an annual COD, we're just used to it. But you gotta, if you're gonna give it its own like little, however long the direct 30 to 45 minute thing, you gotta feel that like, hey, we feel pretty confident that we got something special on our hands. And this actually made me hype for both the campaign and also the multiplayer. So kind of like what Daniel said himself, like had even if it was not in Game Pass, I would most likely end up picking this one up. So they did a good job of getting me interested again into wanting to, this would be my second year in terms of if I was to purchase it. This would be my second year of getting back into COD. So I thought it looked pretty dope.
Okay, cool. Like for me, much like Hargeet, and I'm pretty sure Kay, you're probably the same. The campaign has always been my thing, right? And I know you're like that, Kay, when it comes to Halo. I'm also campaign first, multiplayer second. But I actually enjoy Halo's multiplayer. I don't enjoy CODs too much. Although the zombie mode was fun, I will give that up to Pete and to Holly, who had kind of introduced me to that, to play into that. But I was horrible in multiplayer for Call of Duty. I'm sorry, I'm not good. And I kind of like, I was getting my butt kicked so much that I just lost interest. I was like, it's not for me. The
like
Twitch,
KD 2-4.
yeah, Twitch style, and it doesn't appeal to me, right? It's just not my thing, right? But I will say that the campaign for this looks really solid. I got a kind of a weird G.I. Joe feel about it. Like, dude looked like Flint to me for some reason. I don't know if I'm the only one that saw that, but like he's on a motorcycle jump. I'm like, he look like Flint. I was just in my head like G.I. Joe. But anyway, but for you, Kay, though, like what was this thing for you with Call of Duty? Did that wow you seeing that like that? But I mean, we know so much about it, so I don't know if that it really but what was your takeaway?
I'll be honest. It like I am one that is usually not a Call of Duty player. As the rest of y'all, I do tend to play the campaign, but while you guys were talking, I was looking through my history as to the last campaign I actually finished, and it was every campaign up until Infinite Warfare, which is 2016, right? And I have them all because I'm the idiot that buys them all, but then just doesn't finish them. So Infinite Warfare, which was the one basically the future looking one, that's the last one I played. The one with Jon Snow in it. That's the last one I played, which was actually fun. I really enjoyed that. But since then, I haven't really played much. The last one I tried was Modern Warfare 3. I really liked the way that graphically it looked, the realism of it. But also, for some reason, something came up and kind of diverged me because I'm a grazer, as it were. I will tell you, when COD first was shown off at the show, it was great. All that, they moved on to all the various other great games that they showed off. After it was done, they were like, look, we're doing the Call of Duty Direct. Some people just were ready to walk away, and many people did get up from the auditorium.
Yeah, we
stayed through the whole thing, and it was riveting, bro. Riveting. Like, I'm still not gonna be a multiplayer guy. The best y'all are gonna do, if you tap me on the shoulder at the right time, I'll do zombies with you.
Right.
But I'm definitely playing this campaign. It looked really good. They got the nostalgia going with the 90s, the whole thing. It was amazing.
It's interesting you say that because I thought I was alone in that, but most people I saw were like kind of like they were on a high from the main show, that the Call of Duty after the show didn't really, they were like whatever, they weren't even thinking about it.
Well, and it was pretty short too.
Yeah,
like it was well paced. They got through it pretty fast.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one thing we kept noticing, I don't know if y'all noticed that, like and no disrespect to the people that work there, every single person that works on the Call of Duty team is a freaking model who was ready to be shown off on front. Like they were actors, paid actors. God damn it, they were paid. How could you be so damn attractive and all be they men and women alike? Like, come on now, what's going on?
I'm Matt Damon, and I will be portraying a QA worker
exactly,
today.
Right? They were all Brad Pitts and Matt Damons in that room. I'm like, what is wrong right now? But no, they showed out really well, and it was really cool. It was really, really cool.
Then you pointing out they're all like trying to be humble. Oh, stop it. But yeah, no, like. That's the same. I think we kind of got all of the same sentiments, really. Like, honestly, overall, it's kind of like, it's major that it's going to Game Pass. I don't think we're kind of, like Holly said it in the chat a minute ago, I don't think we're kind of giving it the due reverence, I guess, or like, I guess, monumental kind of look at this as we are, like, this major moment, because it's like, it feels like we've been talking about it for so long that it doesn't really register. Because we saw all these other games being announced, and that I think Call of Duty became more of an afterthought to us, honestly.
Yep.
And that's how great this showcase was.
If you want this to become the Call of Duty show, call your man John Wolf. He'll make it the Call of Duty show.
Yeah.
I think, is he in the chat? I saw him
He
earlier.
is.
Yeah, he's in the
Yeah,
chat.
there
Yes,
he
he
is.
is. Yes,
I
he
know
is.
this had to be major for John, by the way, because you remember
Yes.
the talks we had, Kay. So
Indeed,
yeah,
indeed.
I know this had to be
Yeah.
major for our brother.
Well,
Yeah.
to add to that, in terms of how big it is, yeah, it had a huge viewing, right? I think it was close to 50 million people or something like that who actually ended up
It's at
watching it.
54 now.
All right, so you got this huge viewing of people who are taking into it, which is pretty big numbers for them. And then it gets talked about again from Sony's perspective, right? Where they're still concerned that even though they know it's going to be on their platform, the Game Pass hit gives that impression for them, like the exclusivity. People are going to think Xbox first. That was their whole concern the whole time, right? That's why they went through the whole court stuff. So yeah, that right there, leaning into that, I think putting that proposition there day one with Game Pass, not going to have to worry about am I missing something playing it here versus some other place, but knowing that if you subscribe to it, boom, it's already there for you. I think you got to keep hammering that home if you're Xbox.
100%. 100%.
And not just throwing up the splash screen saying it, but having Phil actually come out and specifically verbalize, yes, this is coming into Game Pass, I think is really
Exactly.
important.
100%.
This is going to be huge for them. This
is.
is going to drive sales of consoles. It's going to absolutely drive subscribers to Game Pass.
Yep.
And even for the people who it doesn't, or who still want to buy it on their PlayStation, that's fine. Xbox is going to make a ton of money off it. This is a huge game for them.
Yeah.
No matter how it shakes out.
100% agreed. So I'll move to the next one that really caught a lot of people, I think, by surprise, and me myself as well, because I thought it was going to look good. I just never thought it was going to look this good. South of Midnight. I want to know for you guys, how was it seeing that in person? Because for me, I'm sitting there, I was kind of flabbergasted because I expected it to be kind of this artsy kind of, compulsion going off their past games. I didn't expect it to kind of have this leap in visuals. This to me surprised the hell out of me. I was like, this looks Unreal Engine-ish a little bit. Which
Can I jump in on this one?
Yeah, definitely.
Down,
So yeah,
I'm going to say that the thing you're probably going to see a lot of is that this was the surprise hit of the night. This is the one that I keep seeing, because I think everyone felt the same way. Because if you played Compulsion's previous games for We Happy Few and whatnot, you're kind of like, all right, you feel like they got some talent, but they just haven't had something that made you really say, dang, I want to play that.
Yep.
Everybody, when we saw the actual gameplay, none of us had an idea it was going to look like that, right? We knew how the animation looked for the stop motion stuff, but the actual gameplay, that was the thing that really was kind of like it wowed us, right? And I was kind of like, okay, so it's not just that you have this really cool original artistic take for a new game, right? It's not basically repeating the same type of things of previous games, right? It's basically something its own unique thing in terms of its subject matter. But then you come out and you have the gameplay looks as good as it does, and then with the art style and then the different characters and the vernacular, all that, I think basically it's the one that I'm seeing as I kind of look through people's takes on the game and saying, hey, which one really stood out to you? It continues to show up on the majority of lists that I see as it's their most anticipated, or it was their most surprising, or it stole the show for them. So that game right there is hats off to Compulsion, because I think they really needed that to kind of make their mark with inside of the Xbox studios. And I think if it translates to what we saw to an actual good game when it comes out, that translates, this could be a turning point for them as a studio.
Yeah, 100%. I thought outside of the art style, I love even the voice acting, and they have the vernacular down for the Creole. You know what I mean? You're hearing Hazel here. That's what her name, Hazel, and you even hearing the little catfish, man. Go and get. So I don't know. It spoke to me a lot. I thought it was really, really dope. Kay, what about for you? What was your takeaway for this when you saw it in action?
So I will say I am definitely biased. I know a person that's on the dev team. I've been trying to eke for information for a long time. I have not gotten said information. When I saw this trailer, I had all caps text messages damn, amazing. I am stunned by so I'm sorry, I have to do a little bit of slander. Forgive me. It's the art style is amazing. The way they tell the story seems to really be hitting on all cylinders. I call it Forspoken done right in the combat and in the traversal.
That's
I'm
really
sorry.
fired.
The
I'm
swag,
sorry.
the swagger of a teenage Creole girl. Is that what it is?
You know what I'm
Nah, that was
saying?
Miles. That was Miles. He's
You
got
got-
the haircut for it
honestly,
too.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought it really like you were saying, like it took people by surprise.
Mhm.
The music is a really big part of the of
Yeah.
the equation as well.
Yeah.
You know, in that stage, people's mouths were agape when they were watching it. It was just fantastic. For me, this game and maybe Mixtape were my two like wow surprises.
Those surprised.
Like,
Okay.
This game,
Yeah.
this hit different on that stage. Every game was one great game after another, but you know those games. You've seen those games. They've evolved them. They've moved forward. It's beautiful. This was no one knew what to expect, and now we see what we see, and we're just like, holy crap! And then not to even go even further, they then show you combat, and they show you traversal, and they show you actual gameplay, and just like, okay, I'm sold. It's a wrap. You know, it was amazing. Absolutely.
Absolutely. What about for you, Hargeet? What was your takeaway from South of Midnight? Did that really impress you?
Yeah, I mean, I like it was a pretty cool trailer to see. Was it last year, I think, when they announced it? And then when you saw here, where you actually got to see it kind of fleshed out, what the gameplay loop is, what you'll be doing in it, it looked pretty good. It really showed up. You know, this is definitely calling me. I love these kind of games, so it should be pretty good. You know, what's more interesting, I guess, is like the variety of enemy types. We really saw, I think, like one major enemy, right? I don't think we really saw much where you actually got to fight more than one enemy. I don't know if it's going to be kind of like that, or if there's going to be other stuff that, you know, you just routinely are fighting or not. But either way, it looks pretty awesome. And like, I guess they kind of got the environment right. We'll see, right? But
I think it's
you know,
going to be
see
like
how
a
they do it.
stylized kind of like
Yeah.
Louisiana, right? I'm guessing Baton Rouge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
seems like because you
So,
can see
yeah.
like some of the pig little statue inside the water. Obviously, that catfish was like had like button eyes and stuff, whatever. So I'm wondering how they're going to portray it. It seems very stylized overall, which is going to lend itself well to longevity. But I would say, and Danny, I want to go to you, your thoughts. But
Yes.
with this, did it kind of give anybody? I don't know if you all have played it, but did it kind of give you guys the Kina Bridge of Spirits kind of feeling when she was fighting the combat?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it does. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I've beaten Kina.
Which, by the way, is coming what, August, I think.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's
pretty
right.
soon.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it on PC, but I hadn't beat it. But it was a great game from made by some brothers too. By the way, shout out to them.
Yes, two brothers.
Yep. So
What are they? Not Torchlight.
I forget, but
I'll look them up.
great.
Oh, Ember
Great
Labs.
first game.
Is that it?
Ember
I
Labs.
think you're right.
Yeah, Ember
Yeah,
Labs.
yeah.
Yep.
You
Yep.
got good memory. But
Thank you.
what was your thoughts on it, Danny? Like, what was your takeaway when you saw that?
I mean, I agree with Asante. I think this is one of my takeaway games of the show. I think it feels so fresh in terms of its aesthetic. I love the southern like magic vibe that feels so good. As a southerner, it's nice to see part of our culture that's not cowboys. That's great. I love that. There's so many cultures that like come together down here. So seeing literally anything other than I got one more deal for you. It's nice to see.
I got a
Nice to see.
plan.
Yeah. I really love it. The music is great. The way that they're stylizing the creatures feels great. What's his name? Like old two tooth or something, or two toe or whatever, the gator. Like I love the designs of it. I'm so interested to see what they do with this. I know that there's like press releases for every one of these games. I haven't read the one for this yet, so I don't know like if they said anything about what the story is, but the only thing I know is that apparently she's like looking for her mom. So I'm excited to see what that story is. Compulsion, for all their many, troubles with previous games, they've always had great ideas and then just like kind of lackluster execution of those ideas.
Right.
So I know that the concept of this is going to be good. So it was important that they showed that gameplay. And the gameplay, I think, looks not like amazing, but certainly good. Like it's not what I expected, but what I would expect from a first party game, right? I think that this looks equally as good as any first party game that we would see in terms of just the basic gameplay, any first party game that we would see from an Xbox or a PlayStation. I think
agree.
it is fitting perfectly into that like
into
maybe
their
not
little
top of
wheelhouse.
AAA because that goes crazy now, but like, you know, lower AAA status. I am very, very excited for this game. I think that it's going to really surprise people.
He had a lot of praise.
sure hope so.
I believe even, I forgot who it was, what article it was written, but they said that this game, I think, reignited their love for gaming. Seeing this, that's what they said.
I can see that.
Yeah, so like it's got crazy praise from I haven't heard a bad word from anybody about this game. Not one person came away from that I've seen that's been like, I didn't like that. Don Otaku, by the way, says that Compulsion confirmed that you will fight more than one enemy at a time, and that the enemy we saw was not a boss, just a special enemy type that you will come across often. So that's pretty cool. And I kind of got that feeling when I saw it. I was like, I don't think that was a kind of a mini boss or anything like that. But yeah, super excited for this coming 2025. 2025 is looking stacked, fellas.
It sure is.
So Umbra, I did hear one like stupid comment somewhere. It was probably a video on somebody bashing something. Well, whatever.
Was it a Who brother?
No. Well, I don't know if they are or aren't, but it was somebody saying SBI written all over it. I'm like,
oh, I should have known.
buddy.
We're not gonna give
I'm
that
like,
those guys any type
yo,
of
come
energy.
on.
Let's not give him any air. Let's not give him any
Fuck
air.
no energy.
Yeah, those clowns. You can always expect that. But Danny, what for you? Which game do you want to highlight next, Danny?
We got to get to it, and Kay already mentioned it, but another big standout for me was Mixtape.
Yeah,
I think this is another game that I didn't see coming. I wasn't a huge fan of The Artful Escape. I believe was the other game that this studio made.
I like The Artful Escape.
I think it was
that
very
great.
good.
I did too.
Yeah, it just like didn't speak to me particularly as much as this one does. This is like Artful Escape felt like it was made for my dad's generation. This feels like it was made for me, if that makes sense.
Likewise.
This looks so good. I'm so excited. Like, obviously, yes, the big takeaway is the soundtrack. When they splashed up all those band names, I was in for Joy Division and Smashing Pumpkins and all this stuff. I will be seated. You don't even have to. It could be a movie. I don't care. I don't know what the gameplay of this is going to be like. If it's like Artful Escape, it'll be pretty minimal. It'll be more of an experience than a game, and I'm 100% fine with that. The story that they were telling about like teenage rebellion and all that stuff, like that feels so much like an 80s movie. It hits me in the same way as like a I don't know, like a Breakfast Club or like a God, what's that one director who did all of these movies?
John Holmes or John
the 80s movies.
Yeah.
What was his name? John something.
John Hughes.
John
Hughes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It has the feeling of a John Hughes movie.
Yeah.
It is. I am so excited for this, and I didn't see it coming at all. So this is one of my big wins of this show.
Did this game do anything for you guys? Like, I know Kay, you felt this one.
Yeah.
What was
Go
your?
for it,
If you're a musician of any stripes, and I have been a musician for a long time, this spoke to you. This spoke to me. This is why I like The Artful Escape. Even if the music itself wasn't my type of music, the fact that you can make someone feel music, right? That's the trick that Guitar Hero and Rock Band used to do.
Oh yeah.
Make you feel music, right?
Mhm.
Even if it's not your genre of choice, it just automatically makes you like that genre.
Yep.
Right. This is more music that more people will like, because most of us are 80s and 90s babies. It is what it is.
Mhm.
The gray beards are real, but you know for sure that The Artful Escape with Johnny Galvatron, who is the lead developer. His name is Johnny Galvatron. Cool ass name.
That is a cool name.
Right? Come on now, Johnny Galvatron.
This had that style. This had
that
that stop animation style to it as well, too. By the way,
it did as well.
Yes.
It did have a little bit of the stop motion stuff going
Yeah.
on. I think that too many people took the lessons of Into the Spider-Verse.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was cool as hell. Like they literally just took the Breakfast Club and the Goonies and all of them and kind of mashed. You could just feel that energy coming out of it, and
Mhm.
obviously the
Bueller's Day
music
Off.
and all of that.
Bueller.
Indeed, absolutely. So and then of course, as the trailer progressed, you saw that it's kind of like it's giving you that energy of back when you were that age and you felt invincible and you felt like you could fly, and in this game you can fly possibly.
There you go.
And there you go. It's a very, I don't expect it to be a AAA monster. Don't
Right.
expect it to be 300 hours. I expect it
Yeah.
to be probably the same length as their first game,
Yeah,
The Artful Escape.
Well,
And
4 or
it'll
5
be
hours,
really,
something
really
like
cool.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
Yes. super cool, and that's all I want. You know,
Definitely a coming of age kind of story. You can see it automatic.
Yes.
I think that's what they that's their expertise, because Artful Escape was exactly that. And,
yes, and for all those who always have slander, I will say this is the kind of Game Pass fodder I'm looking for.
Yeah.
The minute these games leave the service, I'm out.
Yeah,
this is what I'm looking for.
Absolutely. What about you, Hargeet? This was your thing too. Did it do anything for you?
Yeah, I liked Artful Escape. I thought it was an awesome game. You know, like certainly the story was pretty creative and crazy. So I'm assuming it's gonna be very similar, right? That's kind of what their thing is, but they mix it with music, and we'll see what the the Artful Escape had a sort of a musical themed action sequence, right? That was kind of how you did like the gameplay. And I'm wondering what they'll do here. But that's the whole point of this, right? And the beauty is, I don't care. It's in Game Pass. I'm just gonna download it and play it, right? See what it's about. That's the beauty. Like that is the beauty of their showcases, anyways, right? Is like the majority of the things they're showing you, they're gonna be in Game Pass. You get to try them out. It doesn't really matter, right? But yeah, it's just yet another one of those games that from a creative team from before. Here we go. Here's another attempt. Life is Strange started out that way for me. I played it in Game Pass, and I'm like, this is pretty good. And they have 2 and then 3. They all came to Game Pass, and right. And they actually commissioned their own Tell Me Why from that same team, right? That's an Xbox. It's in Game Pass, right? And like you keep seeing it. We're having new Life is Strange. That was another game that they actually showed at the showcase. But yeah, just like that. Like this is pretty cool. It looks like it'll be a fun little side thing for a few hours. Like why not, right?
Exactly. And what about you, Donte? Like, what was your thing? You mentioned obviously John Hughes. You corrected us on the name. So you know about the '80s field too, being an '80s baby yourself as well. But what was your takeaway for this mixtape? Did it wow you at all? Is it a type of game you would play?
Yeah, I actually messed up his last name at first. Someone got the correct last name. But yeah, so like for me,
I'm the one who said he's.
Oh, okay. Well, shout out to Artie. Yeah,
but yeah, exactly. So like I grew up on a lot of John Hughes movies. So I'm like, I was big into like The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Weird Science, things like that. So this really harkens back to me to kind of like my childhood on how it felt growing up as a kid in the 80s.
Yeah.
Another thing about this game I think that's cool is that like I don't know if I was not sub to Game Pass like off the bat if it'd be like a day one purchase, right? But that's kind of one of the beauties of Game Pass, where there's been games like that where maybe they weren't my game one purchase, but they looked interesting, and that gave me the opportunity to get in there and try it. That happened with me with Plague's Tale, and then I ended up falling in love with that game, and immediately got the next one that came out. And I actually bought it when it came out for Plague's Tale 2. So this is another one that I feel like, because it's going to be in Game Pass and it looks interesting, even though it may not be my first thing that I would have purchased, I'm going to go ahead and be able to give it a shot and see how I like it. And I'm hoping that I'll have another similar experience to a game that was a little bit like maybe not my normal stuff that I go to, but at the same time I find myself having a really cool, interesting experience. I think that same thing happened to me with one of the Life is Strange games too, where like I was kind of like, what's this about? And then I end up enjoying the game. So that's the beauty, I think, of the product that Microsoft has put out with Game Pass, is that it gives you this kind of risk-free ability to kind of try some stuff that maybe you don't know if it's a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and then find something that you might be interested in. And I think that's because it's not you don't look at it as extra money on the line that you'd be like, I spent $50 or $70 for that and I was down the drain. It's like I tried it. If it wasn't for me, I went on and I played one of the other 100 games that's in there. So
it felt like it was free
about it.
Yeah,
exactly,
100%. And you mentioned Life is Strange. That was another great one. I'm not going to go into that one just yet, but that was another great one that like surprised me, because we're going back to Max. Yeah, like that surprised me. I didn't think they would do that. But one I would ask you guys about, and I know a lot of people in the chat were just mentioning it a minute ago, was Perfect Dark.
Hey, Umbra.
Yes.
Oh, real quick. Yeah, I'm in here, man. I guess you guys can't see me, but
that's right.
No. This game right here, Mixtape, it definitely was one that I was like, I really enjoyed. Real quick, it reminded me of this one game that I played called Virginia. It's on Steam, and you play as a FBI detective who's kind of going on a case, but the whole game is just, there's no dialogue. It's mostly music and sort of you interpreting what's happening within the environment. It's like a 2-hour game.
Okay.
And it's called Virginia. And then this also reminded me of this other game called The Last Day of June. with a kind of similar art style, story about two people meeting in the summer and kind of like having a fling and stuff. So yeah, I agree. These type of games are special on Game Pass, and that's what I love discovering sometimes. Some of these like gems that either, since we have such a big catalog of games or backlogs, they might be missed, to kind of jump in, like, Eden Fitch and stuff that. But
so I looked up Virginia, and it does look like that. I see what you mean. Although it didn't have the most favorable reviews on Steam, it has a 6 out of 10. But Metacritic is a 74. But that aside, since you're here, now if you guys may not know this, but MJ Dark, if you're seeing his name in the chat, is actually Mr. Joanna Dark. And how fitting that now I'm playing Perfect Dark on the screen here. Brother, what was your takeaway for that? I'll get to you, and then I'll go to our actual cast of people who are supposed to be here.
I just got to say, it's, you know how we all have that one game that we kind of just want back, and when we finally get it, we're like, oh my, is this real? That's this game for me. Not going to get into details, but what you're seeing here, I got to experience, and I'm happy that now that the team was able to kind of share this. It's kind of people are liking it. I love the vibes that it has of Deus Ex and kind of that immersive sim. Mm-hmm. And to me, it still has that sort of what Perfect Dark was, right? Even though we don't see it there, you're kind of seeing there when she shoots with those electrical bolts and stuff like that. So you might see some things. Hopefully, we see some things with like weapon modification, kind of like the briefcase in Perfect Dark, right, back in the day. But no, I'm excited. I can't wait to dive into this game. One of the things looking at this, it kind of gave me Dishonored vibes, but I look at it as more like Deus Ex, and kind of if you saw the scanner that she has in her hand, kind of trying to hack into stuff. Maybe we get to see some other cool things, like maybe she uses that to like disguise herself. So I'm pretty excited to see more and see how the game ends up. But so far, like I said, it has me hyped up. I mean, the last game we got was Perfect Dark Zero, and I thought it wasn't bad. Yeah. So I'm definitely confident in seeing this game, and can't wait to play it.
Yeah. Okay. So 100%. And you actually have hands-on experience. So I wonder, when you played it though, did it look as great as it does here, or was it like less or so?
No. I don't think that, just like you guys were talking about South of Midnight, I don't think trailers do those games justice. Yeah. Kind of throw in something about South of Midnight real quick, not to deviate. If you guys remember that game Shadow Man back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That's why I'm excited about South of Midnight, because Shadow Man is number one, is a good comic. And we don't get a lot of games where the horror elements that dive into other, areas. We usually get American horror, which is like, in different places. So it's nice to kind of get that Southern flavor in other places of kind of like, voodoo and all this other great stuff. So definitely excited on that.
Okay. Well, thank you for stopping by, brother. So I will move to Donte first on this. Donte, what was your takeaway for this when you saw Perfect Dark? Obviously, it's set in the futuristic city of Cairo, Egypt. Definitely, as Mr. Joanna Dark pointed out, you can see some highlights of other games, mixed like styles inside of it. What was your takeaway for this when you saw it? And did you expect it when you saw it like to look this good?
Yeah, I did. I wanted it to.
Yeah.
All right. So my take outside of like, this looks fire, was relief, because people was talking out the side of their neck on this, right? They were like, oh, it's in development hell, and da. I mean, you never know. It could turn out that it is, but the showing of it doesn't give me that feeling, right? The showing of it gives me that, like, hey, they're whatever issue they had to kind of get this thing up and running, like now they're in full swing, and they're actually, they got their vision ahead, and they showed enough where we're hyped, and we're like, this looks dope, right? And that's what you want for something to kind of change the mind of all the people who were kind of trying to talk negative about it, because they had a lot to I would say a lot to hold up to, considering that, like, we're putting together this is the first kind of answer for Phil to kind of course correct on the bad state that Xbox had coming off the Xbox One, right? You put together this big studio, and you're like, this is going to be our quadruple A studio, in order to basically make it seem like you're focused on bringing dope first party stuff to the Xbox community. And then when we finally start hearing stuff about it, we're hearing like negative stuff. So this showed me that it was like, nah, it doesn't look nothing negative I've heard about, anyone talking about this game. Everything has been completely positive. So it's like changing the narrative.
It really
of,
is.
of what people are saying. People are like, this looks dope, I want to play this. So for me, I'm all about it. The action looks really, really good. The stealth elements look really, really good. I'm kind of behind the everybody else on this one. I haven't played Deus Ex, but I've seen a lot of it, right? So I can see what they're talking about, the similarities. But for me, yeah, I've been waiting for this one ever since it was kind of announced. Just be cool if we can see a little bit more and get an idea of as to when a release date is going to be. And also like the fact that like what they're showing right now on the trailer, where it's like it seems like there's a little bit of mystery there. Like there's more going on to this behind. It's not just the standard espionage thing. So I'm kind of curious, like what's the additional mystery, right? If you got a good story behind it too, then that makes it even more dope. You got good gameplay and the dope mystery behind it. That's the stuff that gets me hyped when I play these type of video games.
Don't let anybody tell you about the original Perfect Dark. That may spoil the mystery for you.
All right.
So it had been since 2005. 2005 was the last time we got a Perfect Dark game. How crazy is that?
Yep.
That is a crazy long time. And this will be 20 years before we get it.
That's why they're not putting any numbers to it. This is like for Donte. You haven't played it before. Don't even worry about it. Here's a new, fresh take on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Now there had been a bit of like we talked about the stupid DEI thing that was brought up for South of Midnight. We did see obvious and I said it when I was watching the trailer. I was watching it with some buddies and I said, watch 100% when she took off that helmet and they showed her like jawline. I'm like, watch that they get on her about that and the incel types, and they surely did. And that was just a bad angle. The actual model they have for this, she is gorgeous. And she looks like her when you see her in other angles, but like, because the angle I use, for instance, for the thumbnail, you can see it's not such a gigantic jawline. But as soon as I saw it, I said, watch the idiots who are making conversations about gaming worse. Watch they jump on it. And sure enough, like clockwork, they did. But for you, I'll move on to you, Kay. What was your takeaway from Perfect Dark for you? Like, what did it do for you? And did it surprise you visually?
I expected magic and I got magic. I expected it to be amazing.
Yeah.
MJ Dark has been my buddy for a long time, and that is his name for a reason. He's been touting and waiting and salivating, so I knew it was going to be something magic, So I'm excited that it finally came out and people can see what he's been excited for all this time. I have played the OG Perfect Dark, didn't finish it. I've played the Xbox 360 Perfect Dark. Don't play that. Trust me, you don't want to.
Don't do it.
This looks like the first time they're actually kind of coming together and telling a Perfect Dark story with modern tech, beautiful. Yes, Unreal Engine 5 and all that. Yes.
Don't say it like that.
Well, you know what show I'm on. I got to put a little bit of a balance in here, because otherwise them epic bucks just keep flowing. We got to calm down on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, But no, needless to say, it was a great showing. Great showing. It wowed everybody. It wowed everybody. I knew it was going to be there. Most people did not know it was going to be there. So when it came out, people's jaws were just on the floor, and yes, it showed out. And
nice.
Now what I didn't know was that it would have such full gameplay. Man, oh man, and I'm a huge Deus Ex person, huge Deus Ex person.
Yeah.
Donte, don't play the old Perfect Darks, but find yourself the most recent and the last recent Deus Ex and play those. It'll give you a somewhat of an idea of what you're looking at here. Although the Deus Ex games aren't as much parkour as you saw here, but it kind of speaks the same language. It is very good, very, very good. Very shades of gray storylines, multiple ways of traversing, multiple ways of handling a situation. And I even saw a little bit of a Dishonored in the combat there. Very fast and fluid. I loved it. It was amazing. I cannot wait to play that game. And by the way, people who are out there talking about, we didn't even see a release year, so that's not going to be out until 2026. Again, I will say it. They are in the mode of shock and awe. They are in the mode of shock and awe. Nice. So don't be surprised if you see this thing sooner rather than later. I'm not saying I know anything, because I don't. But
tell us your secrets.
When we think it's coming, do we think this is 2025, or you think it's
I wouldn't be surprised if this comes out in 2025. I wouldn't be.
Because I mean, it's been worked on for a long enough time, right?
It has.
It's not like
That's
it's something they barely announced a year and a half ago.
True.
Exactly.
You know,
like it
probably
was
longer than
announced
years has been worked on. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was announced that they had a playable full from beginning to end a long time
That's
ago.
true. Yeah.
Even before you knew it was it was Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
So I think they're purposely leaving those stuff off just to kind of give everybody ability to breathe and really polish it to a sheen. But just because they didn't put a release date on it does not mean that it's like, you know, our gray beards are going to turn to white beards before we get it. I don't think so.
Now I'm
they
thinking.
have quite a bit.
Yeah,
Sorry,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, I was just going to say. I'm sorry. I'll let you go right after this. It's your turn anyway. Just want to say I'm thinking 2025, but when you look at the roadmap of what we have for 2025, maybe it's too stacked. They might have this come in 2026. Right. And
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
there's so many games already slated for 25.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It could be a strategic move. Yep.
Yeah. Well, the Hargeet for you, like, because Kay had mentioned everybody loved it. Like when it happened, did like everybody go wild in the theater and everything like that? What was your reaction?
I mean, if you want reactions, I recorded them all, so
you got it.
Go to my channel and check them out.
I gotta go check it.
But look, I think it definitely seemed to land correctly. I think this is what we wanted to see from this. So it is first person, which is kind of an interesting take, right? This is something we've all been concerned about. Crystal Dynamics, can they do it, right? It's been mostly third person for the last few games, right? So it still worked. And you saw the parkour stuff that was pretty cool. You know, the gunplay looked pretty good. So it looks like it's going to be a fun little game, right? There was sliding around and all that stuff. It's pretty good. It looks obviously pretty good as far as the graphics. We will see what it looks like when you actually play it. We'll see what the feel is, right? But you know, the Crystal Dynamics has done excellent work, right? So you know, we're hoping it'll be at that same level of a reboot, right? To say, hey, we're gonna have a good, compelling story, and it's gonna be done well as far as the set pieces that move you along, right? So it's looking like it'll be another fantastic entry. This showcase is just crazy because this is in the middle of a whole bunch of other things, right? It could easily have been glossed over because there were so many announcements, but it's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big announcement. But yeah, that's another good showing.
100%. Yeah. My thing for it, when I saw it, you could definitely see the Mirror's Edge inspiration. You could see, like you guys mentioned, the Deus Ex. It's very clear. I just wonder, like, you saw her when she jumps off the ledge and kicks the guy down and hits him, and then she tackles one guy down and does like that Splinter Cell-esque multi-takedown thing where she shoots the guys in the head. I'm wondering how that function works. I'm wondering how some of these mechanics work. You know what I mean? That's what I'm interested in. And
stealth takedown.
Yeah.
Right? Stealth ledge takedown.
And you can see on the hood, like certain devices or like certain items, like you see on the far top right, you can see like a slide of 3 different abilities or whatever. And even on the bottom left, vocal amplification, analysis, whatever. And so I'm wondering how all of that works. Manipulation, as you can see. I just want to know how that all kind of plays itself out. Electric dart, like a stun gun or whatever. So yeah. But Danny, for you, what was your take? And then I'll let you introduce the next game you want to bring up.
So Perfect Dark is not a game series that I've ever touched before. Not once, not even really thought about it. I think the closest I ever got to playing it was when it was on Rare Replay. I was like, oh yeah, that's that game that people talk about sometimes. Cool. And then just didn't. So this is my first real look at it, and I'm pretty impressed. I was not, for whatever reason, expecting it to be effectively like a combination of Deus Ex and Mirror's Edge. I think that's a really exciting and interesting combination. I'm very interested in that. I think all of the gameplay that we saw in that section with the parkour and the shooting and the gadgets all has me very interested in a way that I wasn't particularly before. Because before this trailer, I kind of just thought it was like another shooter. Because my understanding of it beforehand was like, it's GoldenEye, but you're a girl. Like that's that's all I knew.
Yeah.
Right. And this is showing me that it really does have like a much bigger
Goldeneye.
identity of it. It's
I'm
a
sorry,
golden eye,
I'm sorry.
golden eye,
Golden Eye.
golden line.
Girl
It's
Forgive me.
Daniel, to your point,
No,
you gotta,
you're
hey,
good.
you gotta coin that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So
That
it's pretty
Crystal
good, pretty
Dynamics will change it from being just a standard
100%,
shooter, right?
and-
And make it into something more substantial.
and this looks great in that regard. Like this looks like something that has a lot of identity of its own, and I'm super excited to see that. I love I don't know if this was the case in the previous games, but I love the idea of this like futuristic like Egypt that has somehow become a tech superpower. I'm interested to see like the world building of how that makes sense. It seems like it's rooted in a deep corruption, and probably a lot of other towns are not as nice, and probably as a direct result of the niceness here. So I'm really excited to see what they do with that. This is a game that has me very interested in a way that I wasn't really before. Like when they first announced this coming out of the initiative, I was like, oh, it'll probably be good. Like they're promising good things. And then when Crystal Dynamics got involved, it was like, yeah, it'll probably be like a Tomb Raider quality game. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, I think that this really does have a very strong chance of being somebody's favorite game of the year at least. Like this feels like something that's going to go up for awards, assuming that, you know, everything that we've seen is real and all that. Of course, there's a certain amount of like speculation you have to take with a lot of these trailers, but I tend to believe this as being what we can pretty much expect. And if so, I think it's a really good looking game.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job. I think there's definitely some fine tuning to be done visually still, but from what I can tell, it does look really solid. They're very stylized kind of take. I thought it was going to be more kind of true to life. Unreal, right? Is this Unreal K?
I will double check, but I'm almost positive. Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
that
it's
lighting
Unreal.
looks pretty unreal.
Yeah, it looks.
Oh.
I just called that. But yeah, so Danny, I'll let you introduce the next game. What was the next game for you?
So another one that I'm circling back again to one that was already mentioned, but another one of my really big surprises of the show was Life is Strange Double Exposure. I don't know if other people on the panel really care so much about the Life is Strange series. I'll be brief on it because it's one that I have really loved since the first one. 2 and 3 were like, or 2 was okay. True Colors I liked quite a bit, and then like because now there's 2 different studios that work on it. There's Deck 9 and there's the original Don't Nod who went off and did Tell Me Why and is now doing the one that name I forgot about the girls who like find a magic thing in the forest. I don't know that one.
I can't think
I
of
forgot the name of that one.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Something about like Rose and Thorn, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, those games have always been ones that I really, really enjoy. And boy, you bet your sweet bippy that the second I heard Max Caulfield's voice coming over that trailer, I was like, my girl, hello, wait, hi, wait, because they started this series with her and Chloe, and I was so excited because they were really good characters. I loved the way they were written. They felt like real people. I mean, yeah, Chloe said hella a couple more times than I think a normal adult would have, but you know, it is what it is. But I love them and I love their relationship, and I am so excited to see the continuing adventures of Max Caulfield. I think the idea of a parallel dimension like crime drama is so interesting. Like I was really not expecting it, but I love that as like an expansion of her powers, because before she could just rewind time, and now she's jumping back and forth between 2 different timelines. I think that's an exciting way to keep it fresh.
I agree with that. And for me, like, I'll just throw it out there. For me, I was like, Max? That's Max? I'm like,
that's
hey,
Max.
I love
That's my girl.
I love part 1. I'll be honest with you. I haven't played all through part 2 as all the way, and I hadn't played True Colors, so I don't know how those experiences are fully, but I loved Max in the first game. Even the one that focused on Chloe's perspective. I forgot the name of that one.
Before the Storm.
Before the Storm.
For me, it's, you know, it's been kind of a hit and miss. I think 1 has been the best, and Before the Storm was the second best.
Yeah.
And then True Colors and 2, or you can kind of take or leave depending on your personal taste. But this one, I think going back to the formula that made it special in the first place is a really great idea. I'm excited to see how it goes. I am slightly cautious about it because it is a different team. It is Deck 9 now and not Don't Nod who's working on it. So hopefully they'll be able to recapture that spark in the way that the first 2 had. And we'll see that. The trailer seems... The trailer gives me hope that they have done so. but I'm excited for it. I think it was who was it? K Asante? Did you bring it up before, or was it somebody else?
Thought it was Spriggan.
I think it was Spriggan. Yeah.
Donte, was it you?
Yeah, Donte.
That you owned them? Yeah.
Yeah,
You a big Life is Strange fan?
Yeah, no, so, I was saying it like that was a game that I got to play because of the fact that it was, I think it was in Game Pass a while, like a long time ago, right? So it's kind of like, I'll check this out, right? But and then ended up liking it. It was one of those like, okay, I probably wouldn't have on my own if I, in terms of just going out and buying it, unless it was like on a sale or something like that. But then getting to experience it in Game Pass was like, oh, this is actually a pretty cool experience. So like, I've been finding these type of gems within Game Pass where it's kind of like, I think it's Game Pass does this thing where it's kind of like, it can make you, if you're interested and want to, you can become a well-rounded gamer, right? Because you can try a bunch of stuff and end up finding more likes in different genres than you probably would have did on your own. So,
yeah, I would say too, the visuals are definitely different. How do you guys feel about this different visual style they're using here, like Hargeet and K? What would be your guys' thoughts on that?
You can go ahead.
Me to go next? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Hargeet.
No, you go first.
The
No, I'll
visuals
go. After you, sir.
The visuals look okay. I mean, I don't think it's that different from their style, right? Their style is kind of like that. But the like Tell Me Why and the True Colors were kind of more realistic. I think they looked a little bit more real. But they do have a stylized thing to them here. Here that is a little bit more stylized, isn't it? So it's a little different. But I finished all of them. Well, those kind of games, right? So Dontnod does other kinds of games like Banishers I haven't even played yet.
Yeah.
I think they did Vampire as well. Was that them? I think that was them, right?
Yeah.
I did not finish that either. I have that one. I haven't finished that either. But the Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, Life is Strange, all those. I've played all the that part of it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thankfully, it's in Game Pass, right? It just makes it a nice and simple thing.
Yeah.
For those who haven't played, Tell Me Why. That one was the Xbox specific one, right? They commissioned that one.
Right.
It's great. It's
so
free
it's
this
in Game
month,
Pass as well.
so go ahead and download it.
Yeah, it's
Just
also
add it
just
to your
it's a
library.
Game Pass, right? Because it's an Xbox
Yeah.
game. So if you have Game Pass, you're all set. You can just play it. Same vein. But yeah, so like I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it is interesting. They twisted like the same character and then twisted the power a bit, right, to make it a little different. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting twist.
Yeah.
I like murder mysteries anyways. I think they're kind of cool, especially if you're
I
a
do
detective,
too.
work. So I like kind of, and the first one kind of had that thing to it too, right? It's like so.
Yes.
So we'll see how they play this one to kind of change the way it worked. I wonder if it's like literally the same time frame with a totally different like story, or if it's different time frame. I don't know. It's just an interesting juxtaposition there, but we'll see what they do with it.
One thing I'll notice, and I'll go to UK just so we can move on, but one thing I noticed, you don't see Chloe here, so she must truly be dead in their actual timeline.
Or they
right?
drifted apart again.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't mention it. We'll
wonder.
get a canonical ending to Life is Strange before we get a canonical ending to Gears 5.
Yeah, and long live JD. But but yeah,
we'll see what happens with that.
But with UK, are these your type of games? You enjoy these as well, and we see it's coming this year, by the way.
Funny thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Here's the funny thing. The first game that came out, I was like, it's not for me. I don't think I like this. But I like to support my brothers. I saw Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap playing this game on a stream. He likes to play this thing on the afternoons. And I got into it. I basically watched the whole game through him playing it, to the point where I went and started the game myself. Never finished it because something else took my mind off of it. And this is one of those stories where once you start and you know where it's going, you kind of know where it's going. You've already read the book. But
a little bit,
based on seeing what he had done and watching living vicariously through him while he played it, because it's a very interesting story that gets doled out to you over time.
True.
I'm definitely interested in playing this the next time it rolls around.
Okay.
I may go back through it just to remind myself of all that happened, because as you probably can tell, the more context you have for the first one, the second one and additional it makes it more meaningful for
more
you,
impactful
when the characters when the characters return. But yeah, I am definitely I'm in it day one on this one, because initially I was like, it's all right. And then I saw Slow-Mo playing it, and the story is pretty good and all of that. Oh, by the way, yes, I will relent. Perfect Dark, Unreal Engine 5.
Yes.
Let's keep it moving.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying.
That's
I
what we
needed
needed.
that.
We
Thank
need to know. Yes, that gave me
Yes,
energy.
go ahead.
It gave me
Yes,
good
did.
energy.
Yes, it did.
So the game that caught my eye, it was actually my game of the show twice, last year and now this year. So twice in a row, should I say, as far as consecutive years. Fable.
Yep.
Stunned. I was stunned. And how was it for you guys, Donte, in the theater seeing this? Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, this cannot be real right here. Like, I'm still like in disbelief. What was it for you? Like, how did you feel about this?
So hats off to them, because they basically gave us another good version. Like, they're showing us that they're really nailing kind of like the humor and the tone that they want to go for. Like, they have a vision and a tone and they're doing it, but just like visually, I'm just completely blown away by what Playground's able to do. Like, they're always been like a really, I've always thought they were like one of the best studios that was out there, especially on that Microsoft had underneath their umbrella. To me, they're up there for like Coalition, etc. But this is their opportunity for me to kind of shine and show that, like, hey, we're not a one-trick pony. We just don't just do the racing thing. We can make something else in a different genre and still knock it out the park. And for what I'm seeing, it's give me that hope, right? Just visually and some of the brief combat stuff that we're seeing. It's given me some hope that, like, that they're gonna nail this one. But it's just the one that I walked away with, and I was kind of like Gears, dope hype for it, but I feel like I don't know when that's coming out. I'm hearing there's some stuff that came out that says they're targeting 2025, but I felt that us seeing what we saw made me feel like this was a 2026 game, right? So it's kind of like, right, right. So I couldn't sit there and put too much like, all right, great, I know you're working on it, so I'm hyped. You surprised us, great. But in terms of something that I feel was close that I might be able to touch here soon, Fable was the one that really was like the stunner for me. That was kind of like I walked away with like that was my number one. So I'm completely. I just need them to kind of they need their own direct, and I think that's what we're probably going to get from them next year. I think next year they're going to get their 45-minute direct where we get to sit there and see a complete breakdown as to everything that they're doing in the combat and how like what parts of the previous game that they've kept into this one, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you marry somebody and keep that stuff like they did in the previous games? Like,
can you marry 3 of them?
Right, exactly, right. So yeah, Fable's the one for me that it was my star of the show, and that's hard to say because there's a lot of games that look really, really amazing, but that one, just when I keep looking at it, I'm with you. I keep saying, man, that's stupid impressive, and they're doing that in their own engine. They're not doing everything everyone else is doing in UE5. It's like, no, we're doing this inside of our engine. And is it Forza Tech?
Mm-hmm. Forza Tech.
It's the Forza Tech engine.
So you're doing it Forza Tech. So it's like, hey, hats off to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing, and I just hope they bring it home.
Who would have thought Forza Tech would be this impressive in something like this?
Hey man, it's almost like other engines exist besides Unreal Engine 5.
Right.
That's crazy.
Anyway. So for you, I'll get to you in a second, Kay. But for you, Hargeet, brother, what was your takeaway with this? Like, how impressed were you with this? By the way, what were you guys, if you had to name your game of the show? Donte, this seems to think you agree with me. This is your game of the show, right?
Yeah, this one's mine.
Okay. What was it for you, Hargeet, and how impressed were you by this?
This is such a tough
tough.
answer when there's so many good games, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And so, like, if I had to pick one that just like was the most emotionally awesome, it has to be the Gears one, right? That just like it finished it perfectly. Now, granted, there was the direct afterwards, but God, that thing was so good. Not one word spoken, and all the emotion that you got in that one. We'll get to the breakdown of that one. But if I had to pick one, that's got to be it. But it's so hard to pick because there's so many awesome games. I could have said South of Midnight showed up. I could have said Perfect Dark showed up, or Fable showed up, or the many, like, even we haven't even talked to State of Decay, right? But anyway,
no one's mentioned Doom.
Yep.
Not to mention Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Or for that matter, Call of Duty. Call of Duty showed up.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this is the problem that Xbox wants to have, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's a good problem.
We got
hell yeah.
many
But you
really
can't say
good
Xbox
games.
has no games.
Right. We want this problem. We want to be like, man, everything you guys are showing is piquing my interest as a gamer, and I'm
Yep.
just trying. And now I gotta get Game Pass because I want to play all this stuff. Ain't no way I'm gonna. If it's for all the 2025 release stuff, is like, man, you're gonna come out of your pocket quite a bit between what Xbox is doing and whatever else Sony end up doing, and and Nintendo, etc. So
Yeah.
But yeah, as to your point of Fable, Asante, you said this, and basically we live in the post Hellblade 2 era, and now you don't know when cinematic changes to gameplay changes to cinematic, because that's where we are. That's just where we are, right? And this is one of those games where you're like, is that cinematic or is that actually gameplay? Is that like what's going on here?
This
right?
blurs that line for sure.
It just blurs that line, just like the opening, the trailer announced for Forza Horizon 5. When we're looking at it and saying, "Oh, this is just a pan of actual Mexico," and then you're like, "Wait, we're racing? Wait, this is the game? What?
Yep.
This is the game? Like, what is this? Oh my god!" Right? That's what these guys have been able to do in the past, right? So does it surprise me that they can do the same thing here? No, right? So, it absolutely stands out, and to your point again, Asante, is we don't need everything in Unreal. We can actually have other engines do stuff, right?
Well,
We had
all right.
Doom show up with InTech.
Don't
we have
speak too
COD
loudly
showing
now.
up,
You might get cut.
right? And then this shows up with Forza Tech. It looks awesome. They've started to build up the story a bit, right? And it has that same flair of medieval storytelling. So I'm looking forward to it. Like, I love the second one a lot. The third one kind of went off the rails. It was still good.
Third one was
First was
so. Yeah. First one was great.
but,
Second one even greater. Yep.
Yeah, and so I hope they bring that back. I would love to see co-op come back. If they do that,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. But we'll see what they do with that, right? But even if it's just single player or whatever, that's fine. It's looking good. And to the point of release window, just from what they have already said, Doom, South of Midnight, and Fable have already been targeted 2025. So we'll see what else might come out. Like you're saying, maybe Perfect Dark could be one of them, possibly. But we have so many others, right? There's State of Decay. There's other games that they have that could potentially come out next year. There's potential for even Gears to maybe make it next year.
Yeah.
So we'll see, right? But you got those three plus probably a fourth, and then Call of Duty, and then they'll fill it with other stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's
Third
a
party
big
and all of
lineup
that.
for next year.
Oh
right?
yeah, crazy
So,
lineup. All of this showcase
but
without
yeah.
us even seeing a hint of Forza itself or Halo, by the way.
Yep, we still got Halo. We got Everwild. We got Contraband.
Forza Horizon 6. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. There's
Oblivion.
so many other
I mean,
games.
excuse me, not Oblivion, but Elder Scrolls 6. So
Yep,
like it's so many.
ES6.
I bet we
Yep,
see that next
yep.
year.
I hope so.
So, but yeah. So as far as Fable, yep. I want to see more when it's actually ready to go next year. Obviously, if it's scheduled for next year, we're gonna see it in the Dev Direct, and we'll see something there. Hopefully, a good chunk, right? That we can make some good determinations of what that game's gonna be like.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, now we don't have like a winter time frame, no game, right? So we Jan, March, we basically had nothing come out first party this year. We did get something in the spring time frame with Hellblade 2. I'm hoping they've got one of these ready to go, right? Maybe South of Midnight's ready to go for the Jan through March time frame, and then maybe one of the other ones. Fable sounds like it's gonna be fall, right? It's probably gonna be the fall game.
I would think so. Yeah.
Doom's good spring game, right? So maybe that's their April whatever, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what they do, right?
Hey, I'm excited in general. You can also tell that they improved. I'm not trying to sound funny about it, but they improved on her facial animation and things like that, and just her face in general. It's the lighting is better and everything else like that. I think
It could be, and it's also a question, and others have brought this up as to how do they handle the good versus evil, like the Paragon versus what?
I was
right?
wondering that. Yeah. Are we going to
Right,
get some
and-
horns popping up on our head or a little halo?
Maybe not,
Yeah,
and
good
maybe
point.
what they do instead is you do get like uglier versus cuter, or something weird like that.
Wouldn't
right?
that be
It
funny?
might just be that.
You'd be nice.
Right? I mean,
And she
seriously,
starts
it
looking
could
like a
just be something like
supermodel.
that.
Right.
Right?
That'd
And
be
like,
cool.
okay, and that's a cool mechanic. Like,
Yeah,
why
I like
not?
that.
Right? But,
Yeah. Speaking of which, I hope they give us the option to create a character. I would still say, like, I think that would be the better choice overall.
But I think this is the way they're getting you the graphics is they kind of predetermine what the character looks like.
I think so too.
I don't think they'll do that because then ugly people will get all mad. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Kay, what was your thoughts on this right here? And although it's not in the almighty Unreal Engine,
almighty,
but
God,
but Forza Tech
okay.
has laid a stamp here on the world right now with this, in my opinion. I thought Forza Tech, we all knew it was great when it comes to car games, obviously, but seeing it like this, it just opens my eyes, and I'm sure many other eyes. What was your takeaway with this?
So since you're giving me an impossible question, I will give you an impossible answer. So because everyone has asked, what is your expectation for the show? And I said I have many expectations. The stuff that touches me in the feels, the stuff that is coming, the unknowns. So my answer is my favorite unknown, Expedition 33. That's my favorite unknown. That game looked amazing.
Looked phenomenal.
Came out of nowhere, blew people away.
Yep.
It looks great.
Top 3 of the show for me.
Top 3, yes. The game that I am so happy is showing out as well as it should, like you guys have already discussed. Fable, right? Fable looks so good. Let any of these mother-loving mouth breathers tell me that she's ugly now. You know what I mean? Like, get out of here with all of that.
I've actually seen a lot of them come around to saying, "Oh, she looks better now." Like I've seen them saying that.
Yes. Shut your mouth.
Anyway. They're just looking at how good the game looked, and they're like, I want to play that. I get off my soapbox.
You know. I mean, after all, on the other side of the equation, I hear what is it? Sea of Thieves and Minecraft are the 2 hottest games in May now. Like, come on now, people. It is what it is. Anyway, Gears of War, when that music hit, there was not a dry eye in the house. I'm sorry.
Man.
It just wasn't. It touched everyone in the fields. Yeah. Everyone in the fields right there. And we're all talking about all these various games, and we talked about Doom and this and that. One of the first things I did, 2 things I did when I came home, when I was down for the count for the last couple of days, I'm replaying Gears, and I reinstalled Starfield, and guess what? I'm playing as Batman in Starfield.
I love it. I saw those creations.
Have you seen that?
Yes, I have.
It is amazing.
It is
amazing.
I'm putting the whole Star Wars suite on mine when I get it on PC. Watch.
The dude who put it in there made it absolutely free, and he expressly got permission from the WB games.
Really?
He even posted it. Yes, he pulled the asset out of the WB games.
Oh,
went
okay.
to their support
Somebody
page.
mentioned that they said, how are they allowed to do this without WB like suing or something? So so he had permission.
He literally contacted them, and the way you can see it is because in the description page of that game, of the downloadable,
right?
He says here's proof from WB. You click on the proof, it shows a JPEG of him contacting WB support and them saying, as long as you make it free and as long as you expressly tell everyone where it came from and all that, you can have that.
That's dope.
And they said, okay. And it's literally like, and you can see the chin. It looks like Ben Affleck chin, the whole thing. It is Batman in Starfield, and I'm playing that today.
That is nice.
These are the games we're playing, people. It's amazing. It is amazing. So yeah, for me, the only thing that would make this better is if they smack you across the face and they say Gears of War, holiday 2025. That's all. That's the only thing I need now, right? People not sure. Oh, people aren't. They've been working on this stuff for a long time. B. We shall see what time that thing comes out. There may be delays. Who knows? But I'm expecting shock and awe from them.
Yeah, I think the reason maybe they don't have those dates is because they don't. Even if the game's ready, they now just have this like shuffling problem of what game comes out when, right? Because you don't want to say we're gonna have 12 games. I know Colt wants to have everything come out at the same time. That's a stupid move. That's a stupid move. You space it out. You don't want to have this like 6-month gap that we had with Call of Duty all the way to Hellblade 2 and say, well, what can we do to make sure every few months we're releasing something? And that maybe like even if go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was
gonna say even if you have to hold it in your pocket, you just
Yep.
hold it in your pocket and you say, fine, I'm going to release
right.
this. Even though it's done, I'll wait a year and put it out
That's
when I'm ready.
Nintendo's move.
Exactly,
That's
right?
Nintendo's move. I believe that's the reason why you're also not hearing anything about all the various Call of Duties and all the libraries of ABK. They want things they could use to fill in the gaps. And when
Yep.
they have them, they'll hold on to them and they'll drop it when it's hot.
Drop
And
it
you
when
won't
it's
know
hot.
it's coming, and there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the interest of time, guys, since it's already 9 o'clock here for me, so it's been 2 hours for us. Danny, I want you to get your introduce, and I'll introduce the last game, and then we'll just get out of here, guys. So, and we got so much more to cover. That's the crazy part. Like we could be here for hours talking about this.
We really could.
But I'm trying to like keep it succinct and I'll ask you guys your score at the end overall. But Danny, what was another game for you that caught
We
you?
got to talk about Gears. There's
Oh,
no way
that's the closer for me right there. I got
okay,
you.
so then
Yeah,
I won't
it
do that
has
one.
Yeah, that's the closer.
That was the one I was gonna do, but instead I'll do, because I have to mention Dragon Age Veilguard.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because some people are talking about it in the chat right now.
Yeah, I saw that, and so here's the thing, that trailer I think was rough. Like it didn't look bad, but the tone was off.
Way too cheery.
It felt very cheery. It felt kind of goofy. I wasn't feeling it. And I'm still a little concerned about it, but I will say they put out a gameplay snippet later that made me feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah.
It does look like it's kind of a different game. It didn't look like you could switch between the characters in your party, which is strange. I don't know, maybe that I just didn't see it on the screen or something, but it didn't look like it was possible. And it also looked like almost like weirdly sci-fi at one point. I don't know what was up with that. I don't know. I'm cautious about it. I'm happy that we're getting more Dragon Age. It's one of my favorite franchises in video games of all time. I think Origins and Inquisition are excellent games, like some of the best RPGs ever made. I think that 2 is okay. So if this can be at least as good as 2, I'll be happy. But there's something about it. There is something about the tone and maybe a little bit the art style. Well, the art style in the trailer looked weird. The art style in the gameplay looked fine. But something about that tone where it was like kind of tongue-in-cheek and kind of like we're taking the piss out of it is like it just didn't hit me right. And I am concerned that BioWare doesn't know what they're doing with this.
Oh. So who do you want to ask, Danny? Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know who. We'll go to Asante. Asante, did you have you ever played these Dragon Age games before?
I have played every Dragon Age game. They've all had their pluses and minuses.
That's fair.
Like, while this looks different, I was open for it. I was open to it initially and I do agree with you that when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was almost isometric because it was like the way that they showed the team coming together, and then you saw them battling, but you saw them from the camera raised. I was like, huh? They're gonna make an isometric like Dragon Age? That's unique and new. But no, it's not. It is the Dragon Age
Yeah.
Like maybe because people have a lot of history and a lot riding on the Dragon Age franchise, so they expect a lot from it. For me, I was open for it, and I thought it was decent what I saw, and then I saw the little snippet, and I like it even more. So for me, I was happy. I was happy to see what they were doing. I hope this is BioWare rounding the corner and heading to greatness.
God, I hope so.
Well, heading back to greatness, we should say.
Right. What about you, Donte? And I guess I'll go to you first, Donte. What was your takeaway for this? Does Dragon Age do anything for you? Was it your type of game anyway to begin with?
Yeah, definitely my type of game. So I can understand how people feel about the tone of the trailer, because I agree the trailer didn't do a lot for me in terms of like, if this is the return, I think he wanted something that was going to hit a little bit harder. The impressions to me kind of brought me back on board. Now I can understand if people have a concern too about like how colorful it is, because I think people wanted something a little bit more like kind of dark and grittier. And I get that. Like, I'm not gonna argue against that. If you want your fantasy for this type of game to be more centered in that regard, that's completely fine. And the colorful palettes, I think they work for some games, and other games it's kind of like, hey, are we trying to kind of do what everyone else is doing, like Fortnite or something like that? But looking at it, it still looks beautiful. Like I looked at the gameplay again. I'm looking at it right now actually, and it still looks really, really good. What I really like is I'm liking the combat. So to me, it's kind of like I'm gonna give it a shot. When it comes out, it's gonna be something I'm gonna play. I'm hoping that to me this is a moment for them, because like I know they're working on the next Mass Effect, right? So if there's any time for you to say, hey, have some faith in BioWare that we're trying to return to form, well, this is going to be your first kind of like reintroduction to those fans who want to get back to like, how good Dragon Age was and how good the Mass Effect games were. So if this game comes out and it doesn't, if it's not received well in terms of how it plays and its mechanics, that's going to give people some pause on what the next Mass Effect game is going to be. So it's weird that this one is something that kind of can set the tone for how we feel if they're really back into form or not.
Yeah. And what about you, Hargeet? Have you played Dragon Ages before? Like those your type of games, or well, it probably is.
Yeah. I've played and finished all of them as well,
nice.
And definitely looking forward to this. No, that is one of the things. Is like this is BioWare, if I remember right. Right, BioWare has not been the same BioWare since the people who made BioWare went away. Right.
Yep.
And like it's the same concern with Mass Effect. Right, they have a Mass Effect in the works as well. I don't know. Like we'll see what it's like as far as story, as far as driving, the engagement with the characters and whatnot. We'll see what they do. Like, but as far as looks, it looks fine. Like if you watch the extended, it's like a 20-minute trailer, I think, right? Something like that. Gameplay trailer. It looks good. It's fine. I don't think it's terrible. It hopefully will be just like the other Dragon Ages. But again, it just comes down to execution, right? That you can have the core gameplay. It might be cool. But if the story's kind of lackluster, that's going to kind of push away from it as well. What your engagement is with your companions and whatnot, right? All that kind of matters. But that's what BioWare was good at, right? That's why like Mass Effect is so awesome, is because they had the story stuff down, right? And then you have the engagement of the world and how you interacted with it. So I don't know what they're going to do here. We'll see. Hopefully they get that part right. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And by the way, it's an EA game, so it's coming to Game Pass.
That's
anyway.
right. It'll come to Game.
Doesn't matter.
I could tell the tone of how you started to say it was like braggadocious. Like, hey, by the way,
of course, we get this in Game Pass. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We'll get it anyway. But yeah, I do get people's like complaint that it's not that gritty, more realistic look. It definitely has that Fortnite-ish style to it.
It's not even so much that for me. It's that it feels like a different game. Especially the tone. It's not that it looks a different way. Like the art style is a choice that I don't particularly love, but I don't really care either way. It very much is, and I'm hoping it's just this trailer because it's narrated by Varric, who's more of a comedic character anyway. But it is like. This just feels like the wrong way to set the tone for what this franchise is. It's a little too comedic. It's a little too like funny. And the gameplay of it, like the actual combat, I'm watching it again right now. It still has me concerned. Like the fact that when people are casting spells, they have like tracking lines of where the fireball's going to go so you can dodge it. Like that is not what this series has ever been before. It seems like they're really doubling down and making it more of an action game, which will probably be fine, but it's just like
it boils down to how they execute it.
It's such an interesting.
I can see the action style for it. Yeah,
because it's just such an interesting decision though, because it's like we've done 3 of these games where they're like soft turn-based games, and then we're changing it on the 4th one at a time when pretty much everyone has lost faith in the ability for BioWare to recapture what old BioWare was, and their decision here in this game that I think was originally supposed to be a multiplayer game, and then they decided it wasn't working and completely retooled it. Now they're still sticking to it being like more of an action game, and I don't know. It has a very high chance of still being good, but I look at it as a huge fan of this franchise, and I'm like, this is not what I was expecting, and I am concerned that you don't know what I wanted.
From what I saw gameplay online, like on Twitter, they posted a few clips and things like that. It looks really good to me. It's in game. Visually, it looks really nice, colorful. Might not be to people's liking as far as the colorfulness, I guess. But I liked it. I haven't been the biggest Dragon Age fan though, to be fair. So I'm kind of on the outside looking in, but it looks really good to me and approachable. I would say that the other ones weren't approachable to me. This one feels like, okay, I can get into this.
I've figured out where my concern is.
Yeah.
Is that this is the exact trajectory that they took between Mass Effect 3 and Mass Effect Andromeda. They made it goofier and they made it quote unquote more actiony, and then it was a complete shit show.
I see. Let's hope that's not the case here.
And so it's just like, it really does. Ooh, baby, don't do this to me again. I cannot have another Andromeda. I will go to Casey Hudson's house and beg him for forgiveness. I will beg him to go back. I promise you.
Please, Casey. But no, this
Casey,
comes out.
Need you.
This comes out in fall 2024 here, so we'll find out soon enough if it lands right. So last but not least, one of the other showstoppers was world premiere Gears of War E-Day. None of us saw this coming. Like, most obviously guessed, oh, Gears of War collection, Marcus Phoenix collection, and Gear 6. All of us thought that. It had been parodied on all these different podcasts. We ourselves thought it. We said it as well. None of us had any idea that it would be a prequel going back to Emergence Day. What, for me, I spoke about this on Boom's podcast the other day, and it resonated so heavy with me was because my brother, he played as Dom as the second player. And, so my brother passed away some years ago. And then, of course, we had Dom pass away in 3. Spoilers, I know. And that kind of resonated with me as that same, well, at least for me, he was my Dom, if that makes sense. So it was kind of emotional to see that right there. Then the music kicks in with the piano cue of Mad World. It all just resonated heavily emotionally. And for you guys out there, Kay, what would you say? Like, how was it for you? And I know the reaction had to be crazy in the theater. What was it like for you?
So much like the brother Hargeet, I have a reaction of what happened in the theater. I think it's up to 10K views now on my channel. Just off the phone, people wanted to see the reactions. I too, well, not like yours, obviously, and condolences again to you losing your brother. That is horrible. I never want anyone to feel that pain. But
thank you, brother.
I too have an emotional response when it comes to Gears. Even at a top level, to me, people like obviously you play Halo, but Gears to me is more synonymous even with Xbox than Halo is for some reason, even though I have been a Halo fan for a long time. Like, I feel like Gears is especially by Xbox. Like, Halo could live on elsewhere, whereas Gears to me is part and parcel of Xbox, and the experiences that I've had playing them have been uniquely on Xbox. As much of a console gamer I am because of Gears, And oh, I'm sorry, I made my own mistake. Gears of War.
Yeah, there we go.
Gears of War.
Yeah.
So, seeing them really like understanding their consumer base this way, throwing it out there, and not just giving you another CG trailer. Thank you very much, Mr. Jeff Keighley. They actually did that in-engine video. Like, all that really spoke to me. Like, it really spoke to me. The dude that sang the song Mad World, it wasn't even that big a hit. I want an interview with him.
That'd be nice.
Asking him like how he feels about it, because that game has made his song live on forever. Like, it just has. I want to hear what he has to say. Like, to me, there was no more perfect way. I hate to say it, and I'll get some slander. I wish that the Call of Duty Direct wasn't directly after this, because if the one last thing was that, and then you went and sat on it for a little while, it needs to leave that taste in your mouth. That was the perfect ending to that show. The perfect ending. They couldn't have done it better. Like, that was perfection in my eyes. Right? I really do think so. Like,
what's so interesting,
by
by the way?
To see what they do with.
Just to throw this out there, Gary Jules is who you're speaking of with his
All
Gary Jules,
Around Me
are familiar.
Yes.
Right. But did you all know that Tears for Fears is actually the original creators of that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, Tears for Fears.
So there's an original Tears for Fears version of that song.
It is an original Tears for Fears song of Mad World, which it debuted in 1983. Would you believe it? And I didn't find that out until just Googling it. now.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm somewhat of a musical encyclopedia. I would know that. It's surprising the hell out of me that I did not know that. That's
when
amazing.
you mentioned who you were like talking to the guy, I'm like, let me look at his name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Gary Jules. Okay.
His face is in my head, but his name was out of my mind.
Same.
And that's amazing.
I did not know that. I gotta go, and I love Tears.
I gotta go hear the Tears for Fears version. Yes, I gotta go hear that.
I'm gonna listen to it after this. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, but for me, honestly, Gears of War has been a pinnacle franchise. When people go, oh, it's time to modernize it. Oh, it's time to move. Shut up. You know, your favorite franchise, as soon as they touch even a hair on its head, you got complaints. But Gears got to get updated every once in a while. No, let Gears be Gears. Let them tell more stories. You know, understand that people weren't too fond of the new characters that were there. I get that. They didn't have the same kind of resonance that the OG characters did. But I feel like they were carving their own niche there. Hopefully they'll get a chance to finish that, which rumor has it, and actually they've spoken about it a little bit.
Yeah, they will.
They're working on both of them. So Gears 6 is still in play while E-Day is now coming up. That's what tells me that they're going to finish E-Day sooner than you think, because they're not going to let Gears 6 linger until we are all white beards. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to wait that. You're probably going to play Gears 6 before you do Elder Scrolls or the next Fable, or the next what do you call it? Fallout. You know what I'm saying? Like they're probably working in tandem, and this will probably come out sooner than you think. But yes, I think that is like the E-Day release and the announcement and the way they did it was the perfect bit of fandom they could have ever done.
100%.
Chef's kiss.
Cheese, pure cheesecake, as they would say. 100%. Hargeet, for you, how was it, brother? Like this right here, like the reaction that you all felt in the theater. I know it had to be a crazy feeling. What was it like for you?
It was awesome. You know, we have one last thing, and like,
yeah,
and then it turns into like world premiere with a red background. You're like,
right?
Okay, what is this? Like we all thought, hey, it's got to be Gears. It's the last thing, right? Gears. And yeah, then you like see this like not Gears looking thing. And you're like, where are we here? And then you see the TV, and you're like, oh yeah. You see Marcus, and he's like, wait, he's young. Yo, what's going on? Right, that thing was so awesome all the way through the end when you know Dom, his hand, and then Dom picks you. Oh man, it was so good. Right, like all of that was awesome, and you know, there's again not one word spoken, but there's so much emotion in that whole freaking trailer that they pull on the nostalgia and heartstrings. It was great. Look, the things that I'm looking for here is to not do what Halo 5 did. Halo 5 said, oh, hey, we're going to have this open worldy thing. And it totally kind of destroyed Gears to me. It didn't feel like Gears at all. To me, like Gears 1 defined how you should do this, which is set piece after set piece. You have to go through and conquer that. And, you know, there's going to be some crazy shit that happens. And you have to go through that like together and if you done this for me, it was all co-op. I played it all co-op. It was so good. And, you know, like getting through the strategy of getting through these things. And it was so cool. That was the point, right? It gave you a sort of horror plus like suspense and like, what the hell? And we have to get through this like feel, which 5 did none of that. It just felt so different.
Hey, Hargeet, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but to your point about don't do like Halo. Don't do like Halo. Let them finish a damn fight. Let Gears 6 also exist. Let them finish at least one fight.
Yeah, Gears 5 was so, you know.
I think you meant 5 though. You said Halo. Did you mean don't?
Oh man, sorry,
Gears
not
5?
Halo. I meant Gears 5. Did I say Halo 5? Gears 5.
Okay.
Gears 5, right? Gears 5 had that open worldy stupidity that I'm like, this just doesn't feel right.
The open world didn't seem complete. It wasn't a lot to do out there.
Yeah, it just felt like it was superfluous garbage. I didn't have to do it. I could do it, and it's like it just didn't feel right. And I don't know. I liked how Gears 1, you're being forced to go down corridors. You're forced to go down this path, and you get set piece after set piece. That's what you kind of need to have. I believe that's what they're saying. They're kind of doing right. This is going to be more like that linear.
Yeah, it is
going through. You're getting set piece after set piece. That's what I want to see here. Fantastic. Obviously, it's E-Day, so this is going to be all like new experiences for these two. We were there at FanFest, so we got interviews with the developers, and one of the things they noted was Dom and Marcus at this point do not have the bond that they have in the Gears trilogy. Dom, his brother dies in the Pendulum Wars, and his brother was the friend of Marcus, and so Marcus and Dom sort of start to bond on the loss of Dom's brother.
Do you think they might have us play through the Pendulum Wars like a Act 1 or something like that, maybe?
I don't know. I think this is probably the beginning. I think this is what we saw was probably part of the beginning. But maybe they have a recap of it or something like that, because it's the welcoming home after the Pendulum Wars was ended, right? So, and then you just roll right into this. But I don't know if we do anything with the Pendulum Wars. I tend to doubt it. But maybe there's some sort of recap, and it goes right into what we just saw, right? And you just start the game. Because that could be a hell of a start, right there, and then you're right at the top of that destroyed room, and now you got to figure out what to do next, right? That trailer was awesome, and like you were saying, Asante, like that should have been the end. We had the dev direct, we knew was coming, but just leaving it with that was just like, oh my god, what a way to end. And that just made the showcase just ridiculously awesome. That was an awesome trailer.
Yeah, I loved it, man. Donte, what about you, brother? How was it for you being there, seeing this, and the reaction with everybody around you and all of that? All around you are from you. I'm sorry.
On our faces.
Right.
No, stop.
Hey, Donte, I don't know if you're hearing me or not, but we can't hear you.
Have the Discord gods sniped him again?
Yeah, I think they did.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Well, Danny, I'll go to you then, and maybe he'll get back in time. But what about you? How was this for you, seeing this?
I'm back. Oh, Discord, what are you doing to me, Discord? I can hear y'all, and then I can see it just stops giving me any audio.
There you go.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, so well, then I'll go to you then. What was your feeling for this, and how did this resonate with you being there in the theater, Donte? Danny, I'll go to you last, and we'll wrap it up.
So I'll set the stage just a little bit. So like I arrived Saturday. Saturday night we go to J-Dub, bump into the lovely Miranda Sanchez, and she's a big, huge Gears head, right? And so the hype is that everyone's expecting we're going to hear something for Gears.
Right.
For the longest, everyone thinks that we're getting either an announcement for Gears 6, or we're going to get maybe if this Marcus Feeks collection is a real thing, right? That's what everyone's thinking this whole time, right? So the showcase is going on, the showcases are rocking, but you're like, man, we're kind of getting close to the end. So they're saving it for the very last one, right? And then you see Sarah come out, do her thing, and then the screen kind of does this, it goes to red for that one last thing. And then you hear the slow undertones of the music from Mad World just underneath playing, and you're like, to me, it's like everyone said, it's perfect, right? Because like I felt we were going to get something similar, but if it was going to be for like maybe Gear 6, or if we're just going to get some announcement about like, hey, the Marcus Phoenix collection's a real thing and it'll be on Xbox in the next whatever few months or something like that. But getting this and doing a complete type of I'll say a shocker, because I don't think no one really had E-Day. We've been talking about Gears kind of getting back to its more horror roots, making it where you really feel the locusts and like putting you in that dire feeling. I think that's what they're going for, that they want to give you that feeling again of Gears. Like my lineage of getting into Xbox trails back to first Halo and then Gears. Those are the games that initially like completely sucked me into the ecosystem. I remember when Gears 2 came out, me and my boy waiting at GameStop, getting it at night. The next day we had off of work, so we basically put it on and we played from start to finish. I think that was probably one of the first time that we both got quiet and at a certain part within the game. If you guys know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? When we both got quiet and we both needed to take a moment. And I was like, man, this game just managed to emotionally
hit me in the feels.
Make me exactly. I have to think about myself for a second, right?
I'm supposed to be broing it out. What's going on here?
It's one of those core memory moments where you think about think about a really great gaming experience and this is one of my great co-op gaming experience, was that moment of playing through Gears 2 from start to finish.
Absolutely.
In a whole like a 8-hour setting with me and my boys. So Them capping it off with this, just like Kay and Hargi said, it's just perfect, man. It's exactly, I think, what the fans of Gears needs. The fan of Halo, the Xbox platform needs. It has everybody who ever played Gears and ever loved it, or people who are maybe just somewhat interested to see like what is Gears about. I see people online talking about, hey, I'm gonna go back and download 1, 2 and play through the 1, 2, and 3, etc. Right. So if right now it's getting a crowd reinvigorated into the IP, which I think is beautiful, and if they're able to make their 2025 wish list of getting this thing out, I think that's exactly what Xbox needs, man. That's exactly, I think, what Gears needs too, because it's been gone long enough for us to miss it. And if they come back with a vengeance, setting the right particular tone that they want to set, because this, to my understanding, is Coalition finally saying we're doing like what we want to do, right? Before they were kind of doing a story that was kind of given to them. And look, I like 4 and 5. I'm not one of those people who has anything against it. I really had a great time, and I want to see that to conclusion. But this is them kind of saying we're getting to do kind of the Gears that we want to do, and we want to make this where it's like a, kind of a horror nightmare that you got to survive and make E-Day really kind of weigh on the player. So I'm all hyped for that, man. This is Xbox. You nailed it with that one.
100% agree. Just looking at that last part, I just realized what do they call that thing that comes out of the ground like a spider? What do they call that thing?
Brumac?
It's the Brumac, not the Brumac. It's another one. It's like a crawler type that's like, what is it? It's like, what is the name of that
smallest thing, right?
It's a big, like the big gigantic looking one.
Oh, the big ones.
Yeah.
It's like a huge spider, right?
Yeah, because the Brumac is that beast looking one with the guns on his back.
With the things on its back. Yeah,
a Corpser.
Corpser. That's it.
You can see the Corpser in the background when they're looking out into the city. I just noticed that over there.
Oh shit, really? I
Yeah.
didn't notice that.
And speaking of which, Black Viking jumped in. I was just about to introduce. So this is the last game we're talking about for the show, BV. So what was your thoughts for this, seeing this right here? And what was your takeaway?
Well, all it brought me to was back to Flight Simulator, guys.
Here we go. I knew he was going to do that.
Here you go. Shout out to my man Black Viking, man. Good to see him.
Yeah, you too, man.
He is as consistent as Unreal Engine 5.
No, y'all know I had to. No, but I'm actually excited for Gears, man. Picking back up. I just ordered 2 books. I'm a little upset that they're all paperback. I hate reading paperback books. And I wish the books were hardback. Yeah. Something about a hardcover book just makes you feel like an adult. You know what I mean? Like,
so you feel like you're reading a comic otherwise. Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, I have a lot of comics, and I like my graphic novels. Like I have too many comics. But yeah, something about books and it being paperback just really, I don't know. They don't smell right. They don't put up the pages on them turn kind of crazy colors and all that. Like I'm just, let me get off of my tangent on that and stop talking about Flight Sim and all that. But I'm excited for Gears, man. I'm excited to go to E-Day and see because what makes me excited about the whole thing is, we live, as Kay Asante says, in a post Hellblade world, right? And people have been talking like, well, look, if you think what Ninja Theory did was crazy, wait till you see what the Coalition did. And I cannot imagine, because like we was like, okay, this makes sense for this game to look so good in Hellblade 2 because it's slow paced, it's narrative driven. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense that they're able to optimize in a way to where it does look that way in Unreal Engine 5. How is this going to look when it like fast paced, gory, like just crazy look? Like how are they going to be able to? It's not how they're going to do it. They're the masters of Unreal Engine. Absolutely. So if anybody can do it, it's they can do it. But boy, when they show that first gameplay clip, hopefully next year, people are not, just like they didn't believe Fable, just like we probably didn't believe that Hellblade. Yeah, probably whenever we when we watched Hellblade last year at the show, there was like, oh, another CGI thing.
Yeah.
But when we played, it was like, oh, all this shit's in real time.
Yep.
Right? We are going to be in disbelief until we actually have it in our hands. I'm pumped for the story, man. What more can you say?
Yeah, the almighty Unreal Engine, absolutely. It makes you, it feels unreal. I agree. I agree with you. Danny, last but not least, what was your thoughts on this, bro? When you saw this, when you finally got a chance to get back home and everything?
Yeah.
Did it hit you in the feels? What was it like for you?
This was outstanding. This was the perfect way to end the show. It was a whole ass journey in like 2 minutes. Like 2 minutes. You know, from going from seeing just this bummed out, like destroyed street, basically this house that's dirty, getting absolutely swamped, and then you can't really see at first that it's Marcus and a locust and all that, leading all the way up until the moment where Dom shows up and you see the hand, but you know who it is. Like you recognize the armor, and even if that wasn't there, like you know whose boy is where.
No doubt.
I'm crying, you're crying, the kids in the nosebleeds are crying. Like it was
grown men tears flowing.
It's an absolutely outstanding trailer. This is ironically, I guess, as good as the original Mad World trailer, if not potentially better. I think it's such an exciting and interesting idea to go back and do E-Day. I think that leaves you a lot of really exciting narrative beats, like Hargeet was saying in the books. Like right before E-Day, the Pendulum War said like just ended. So I actually think the game might start with the battle where Carlos dies, because Carlos, Dom's brother. And I think that might be sort of the story arc of the relationship between them, is that, I guess it's kind of a spoiler for the book, but let's be real, a lot of y'all aren't going to read the books. Marcus is like hiding the circumstances of how Carlos really died from Dom clear through the first game. Where Carlos was like awarded, he got like an award, I think, because they pretended that his death was like the thing that allowed them to win that fight. He like took out a bridge by blowing himself up, when in reality, no less heroic, but you know, maybe with smaller consequences, he was already dying. He had been like shot and was bleeding out, but Marcus was like trying to run across this battlefield to save him, and he was gonna absolutely get destroyed.
How about you stop with the spoilers, because this might actually spur people to read the books.
Read the book.
Stop it.
Hey, read Asphalt Fields. Hey, the Gears books are so good.
I took my headphones off as you was talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Anybody who wants to read the books,
read Asphalt Fields.
Maybe they'll have a recap of it in the game.
I think it'll be I think it might be the beginning.
Sagaing this story.
Read the book. I know some of y'all in the chat can't read. All right.
The views of Daniel J. McGee are not the views of the Fix.
Sound off if you don't read books. It's a great one. So I do think that might be how the game starts, and maybe like that's the vibe between him and Dom the whole game, and I think that'd be great. Like you leave yourself so many exciting story things there, and then just the fact that like when this game starts, they won't know what a locust is. Like this is gonna be I hope they don't do the thing of like the Star Wars movies where it's like we have to figure out why he's called Han Solo and like show us every single little thing about like, and this is how we figured out how to do the chainsaw on the gun, and this is how we figured out that curb stomps are cool, and like we don't need all that. Just tell a really great story about the boys learning to survive in this new terrible world. And I think that's all we need. I am so excited for this game. I don't know when it's going to come out. I hope sooner rather than later. Put me in an icebox and wake me up when it's out.
November 19th, sir. Flight Sim comes out then.
Oh, okay. All right. You can keep me in the icebox through November.
Yeah. I'm thinking this will come out next year, honestly. I'm starting to get next year. And part 6 will be next gen. That's what I'm starting to think. But a few things I'll say that I noticed as far as like takeaways.
Yeah.
And remember we were talking about the Pendulum Wars. You see there on the floor there on the right, it says war is over. They're celebrating. The war is over. So this is fresh after that, as you pointed out. Very clear.
E-Day happens, I think the same day that they're celebrating the end of the war.
Mhm.
Like it is that fast. It's literally like war's over, psych, bitch.
You also notice this little tongue-in-cheek reference, well, not reference, but I guess play they went for here, where it's like "Welcome home." It's a shout out back to us, going back to, I guess, what was home for us, which was Marcus and Dom. At least that's what I took away from it. Now here, bow right in his face, he gets hit. Marcus, that's where he gets the scar on his mouth and lip right there. That we see that he's known for. From this,
you think this is gonna take it up to the ending where we figure out like how he gets put in jail?
I hope it does.
You know what I'm saying?
But then they might play this into a trilogy. We'll see how they do it. But
yeah, I mean, you could do continuous updates for this, right?
Yeah,
'cause you have 14 years.
Yeah.
So
this right
it's
here,
a whole ass decade.
You will notice the Coltrane toy or a statue right here. Right.
I'm sorry.
Here.
I'm sorry. I had to do it.
He knocks him over. Woo! Bring it on, baby. That's my kind of shit. And then the corpser one that I mentioned at the end, I'll just skip right to that. You notice there to the far left, you'll notice the corpser. There's a foreshadowing of them coming from underground and such. Right there is the helicopter over the far left. Watch the corpser right there. There it is, coming up under the ground. So yeah, super excited for this.
There it is.
That was the closer for the showcase, fittingly beautiful. So let's get out of here, guys. Thank you guys for being here with us. If you all have not done so, I didn't even ask you all to do this throughout the show, but please hit the like button, as my brother Dirt would say. And Black Viking, since you're at the top of the screen here, tell the good folks where they can find you at, brother.
Oh man, I just came in to talk some shit and tell everybody, that Flight Sim is amazing. I'm not going to self promote like that, but I do want to give a shout out. We talk about this showcase. I want to talk about a little bit about the people who made it possible. I just want a round of applause for Tina Amini. I think that's how you pronounce it. She did phenomenal with the last two showcases. I don't know if it was brought up this podcast or not, with putting everything together. Minimal talking, no casting couch. Okay. Game after game after game with gameplay. Phenomenal job. Tina and her team crushed it.
I let her know that, by the way. I met her over there.
Yeah, we got to speak to the
nice.
team a little bit.
Let's
I
go.
let her
Nice.
know that you've been doing a phenomenal job ever since you've come on. So
Fantastic, dude.
That's
Yeah.
dope.
All right, that's it for me though.
All right. Well, since he didn't self-promote, you of course you can find Black Viking on his channel.
Oh,
as well.
come on, man.
The Longhouse Gaming Podcast. I mean, hey, you're here. I might as well. Listen, if I jumped into your show, I would promote. I'm just gonna tell you. So
I'm bad about it, man. Like,
I knew.
I really am.
It's all good. But listen, so Hargeet, going to our brother Hargeet. Thank you, Hargeet, for joining us, brother. Really appreciate all of you guys for coming through. But I definitely wanted to get the perspective of those who were there. They were there. I wanted to get you guys' perspective. So thank you. Tell the good folks where they can find you and where they can get that book of yours, Resurgence.
Absolutely.
So I said
Emergence.
Emergence. I'm thinking of emergence and resurgence. Why do I always do that? And I guess it should have been fresh on my mind since this is Emergence Day on the screen. Anyway,
yes.
all the guests, by the way, links and everything like that are in the description, so you guys can go there to find everything for them. But yeah, tell the good folks about yourself.
Yeah, so like Gears of War, I actually have a sci-fi story, and it's called Emergence. Check it out. It has nothing to do with Gears of War. You can check out the book. It's if you go to shop.chani.us, it'll link you to the Barnes & Noble and Amazon and whatever else. You can go there, and it'll direct you to the sites. Or if you want a signed copy, you can buy one there as well. And then you can subscribe to my channel. It's youtube.com/HargeetChani1. And check out all the reaction videos I put up. So for pretty much everything, I think I skipped like a couple, like Call of Duty's Dev Direct. I didn't capture that reaction, but basically every reveal, I recorded the reaction. It's up there. You can see what we felt when we were in the room at FanFest. And as far as the next podcast, it'll be tomorrow on C Money and Doodle's channel. It's On Point for Gamers. We'll be doing the night shift at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern. And then Fonz and I will be getting back together. I think Dee is going to be joining us on Sunday for Games Talk Live on Fonz Gaming's channel. And that'll be at 6 p.m. U.S. Eastern on Sunday. So check that out.
Very nice. Very nice.
I don't know if you want an honorable mention list of all the ones we skipped.
You know,
We
it's
didn't
so
even talk
many.
about Doom, dude.
I know. Like, Doom looks so spectacular. I dubbed him Captain Doomslayer the Barbarian because he has the Captain America shield that he can throw and get back with a chainsaw on it, and
Nice.
it looks so good.
Then we
man.
had Indie and Avowed are coming
Yeah,
out this year.
Avowed.
Stalker's coming out this year.
Stalker 2.
We got so many there, man. There's
So
so many
many.
more games.
Expedition
Including
33 was
Flight
the one.
Sim?
Yeah, including Flight Sim. Exactly.
Yep.
So you got a lot. It's way too much to cover.
Did I hear laughter after Flight Sim?
Yeah.
It showed,
Yeah.
bro. I thought it looked pretty
It
good.
looks good.
Cool.
I played a
Alright.
lot of Flight Sim.
All right. Thank you.
2020, and
Thank you.
like I'm looking forward to this. It had some pretty cool like missions, right? So
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's incredible what they do with that game. It's,
And
it's stunning,
absolutely.
and
Mhm.
they pull
Shout
off.
out to
So
Asobo. Absolutely.
You guys are saying everything I want to hear. All right. Cool.
Flight Sim. Flight
He's a
Sim was
Brett
the only
Word.
thing shown. The
Brett
only thing
Gospel.
shown on that stage where it's not time that is wasted. You're actually learning something when you play that game. So
Correct.
Yeah, you
Yes.
can learn how to fly exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and
guys.
One of the odd things they did was
Now your
not
Asobo
have
bucks can be
release
spent.
dates.
Yes.
They didn't have release dates for some of the things during the showcase, but right afterwards they had like sort of detailed, in-depth stuff, and then gave you some of the release dates, which is kind of interesting.
Nice. Yeah.
But they gave us release dates for most of it. They have not for About an Indie yet. That's still up in the air.
Yeah, still in there. Okay, but you know, they both look improved.
But Avowed got leaked. We
It
got
did?
the leak.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it
Obsidian
did.
leaked it.
That's true.
So November 12th,
right.
supposedly it's
Now listen, I mean, whatever the case for it, they can still move it because that leak date is not any confirmation that they can say, hey, that we didn't officially say it. So it's whatever. But I will say that definitely Avowed and Indie both actually that Avowed, Fable, and Indie all definitely improved. You can see the improvements continuously happening with those. So hey, I can't wait, man. Thank you though, Hargi. And Donte, my brother, where can the good folks find you, and tell them about your podcast that you do with your buddy?
Is there? You can find me on Twitter, Donte J Moody. You can find me on Spotify for the Boozy Box Office podcast, as if you're into movies and shit. And you can find me on Fridays on the with my good man Umbra and Hargi. No, sorry, Risk It and Holly and Garuda on Fridays on the Infinite Podcast. Pleasure for having me here, man. This was awesome. I get to listen to you, but it's good to actually get out here and chop it up for you on your show, man. Good to talk to to Daniel, who's my first time actually interacting with him, man. So pleasure meeting you tonight. Yo, Black Viking, always a pleasure to talk to you, man. Chop it up, man.
Thanks, bro.
And K Asante, my brothers, man. It was really great seeing you guys again in LA for the show, man. Hopefully we can get to do this again next year, and we can get Umbra and Black Viking to get out there as well. And Daniel, man, like let's get the keep making it bigger. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm there.
It makes these things great, and our community, I think, is one of the best ones in gaming, if not the best one in gaming. So it's always good to get.
By the time we get to like year 6, it'll be like, hey, restaurant, can you just book the entire restaurant?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Just book us out, right? We got like 35, 40 people with us. For real.
I hope y'all ready to drink a lot of yak when I come.
There we go. There we go.
I'm more of a clear drinker. Give me some vodka and tequila, but
there we go. There we go.
For that special occasion, I'll take a sip or two of some yak for you.
Yeah, we'll get some good yak for you, baby.
Give me some of that Crown Royal.
I'll make an exception. Let's do it.
Yeah, give me some Crown Royal. I'll be good with that.
That's whiskey, my brother. Don't disrespect the yak like that.
Oh Lord,
It's brown.
Come on.
It's brown.
One's from wheat and grain, one's from grapes. Let's not do this. Let's not do this.
Now you see why I stick to the clear liquor, right? But and finally, but last but not least, as far as guests, my brother TKO Hey, Asante, my brother, thank you for joining us again and gracing us, and hopefully you're getting over your sickness that John Sycamechanico passed to everybody. And yes.
Oh, stop it! Stop it! It was not his fault.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people around there that was coughing and sneezing and all that. It could have been many people. It's not a big deal. But yes, I'm getting over the con flu, as they say. In other words,
Yes.
If you're gonna learn from us next time, I gotta bring on the masks, man. I gotta bring on the masks.
Definitely gotta bring the masks. But tell the good
It
folks
was a
where they can
pleasure
find
being
you.
here.
Yeah.
A pleasure being here. Always appreciate hanging out with my brothers, hanging out with y'all. There's always so fun. Either I'm listening or I'm watching or I'm in the spot here with y'all. I appreciate it. As usual, you can find me K Asante, TK Asante on all those places we communicate. Hopefully, if I'm feeling as good as I am right now, you will get an episode of GCP, the Gaming Circle podcast, with myself and Mr. Everborn Saga. We will be talking more about some of this stuff. He's been wanting to chat with me all week, and I have not been replying to his messages. We're going to do it live.
You've been ignoring him.
Damn.
So that's how it's going to go down. We're going to do it live because I wasn't feeling
Do it
good.
live.
And we're going to do it live, yes. But I will reiterate the fact that it hits differently when you get to meet your brothers in person, when you get to hang out and connect in person. It just changes your whole outlook on podcasting, on the whole community. It's just so much better. So now I'm striving for the next time we get to do that, right? And I know,
Absolutely.
Black Viking, you're planning on going you're going to PAX West. I hope you have a great time. You meet the great Paris Lily.
Yeah.
You know, that man is great, man. That man, he's great. We had
I just had him on the podcast, man. We was talking shit. We gonna fight when we get there. Yeah.
I'd say I'm a tall, big man.
Good luck.
He's taller and bigger, so good luck, bro.
Hey,
arms are as big as my legs, dude.
I got hands like a criminal, bro.
Well, between you and Gamsley, who says he'll kick him to death, y'all two might have a chance.
Yeah, double team him.
Don't be scared just because he got big arms. Like, come on, bro. Let's not do
Trying
that.
to box Paris. What's going on?
All right.
You do realize they're gonna clip this and send it to him.
Send it, please. Send it.
Ooh, this man is out there. All right, man.
That's
Well,
right. I'm
it's
trying-
good knowing you.
All right, 2025 Xbox Creator Fight Battle Royale.
Right.
In
Be
the parking
there.
lot of the Microsoft Theater.
Right. Be there
They'll
or
do
be
it for
square.
charity. They'll do it for charity because it's all for fun, and then he'll get his face melted like
Damn, y'all don't have no
boy
face
Marcus did.
like that. Okay, I see how it is. All right, cool.
Look,
Cool,
man, I met Paris. That's all I'm saying. I met the man. It's
Very
all good.
nice.
Let's keep it moving. But again, thank y'all for having me.
I'm just promoting peace for my brothers.
Hey, thank you for being
That's
here,
right.
K.
Peace.
It's all jokes. It's all jokes. Anyway, it's all jokes.
Absolutely.
They just be at each other. It's fun.
Peace be still, as the Bible would tell us. But yes, thank you, Kay, for being here as well, brother. And last
Indeed.
but not least, as far as my co-star goes, my co-star co-host, Daniel J. McGee. Tell the good folks where they can find you and what you'll be up to.
You can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McGee or at my personal YouTube channel of Daniel McGee. I will be, hopefully, next year going to all of these shows with you guys and
Yes.
not
Excellent,
boxing Paris
excellent.
Lily.
Hell yeah.
That's right, baby.
And it's funny
Yep.
because Danny is probably taller than all of us, by the way. Danny's like, what, you're 6'5", right?
6'5", yeah.
6'5".
Wow.
You don't think
Power
size
and
has
burnout.
anything to do with any of this?
No, I was just talking about height because you all mentioned
Okay.
height.
Look,
Yeah.
man,
All right.
I got that reach. All
Yeah.
right.
There we go.
I got one benefit in the stat block of life, and it was height. Can I run? No. Can I lift? No. But I'm tall though.
That's right.
There you go. Yeah. So, but Danny himself, he would be more the white Viking, as you called Gamsley, if anything. Black Viking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
See, again, I must point out that all Vikings are white, so he's just a Viking.
You're right.
No, sir.
All right.
No, sir. Not all white. Viking, listen. All right. I'm not going to school
Oh, here
y'all
we
on this
go.
one.
Here we
No,
go.
we've been here for 30 minutes talking about Viking culture and that it's a job, not a person. Like, we'll just
sure,
move
sure.
on. We'll move on.
Don't
Go
tell
ahead.
don't tell me that there was some secret black Viking like
No,
Yasuke
we're
back in the
we
day.
weren't Vikings and shit. No.
Good old Yasuke Erickson
Yeah, right. Yasuke Erickson.
discovered the new world. before
Yasuke
Columbus.
Thor's son. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Thank you all in the chat. We appreciate you. I'm sorry I couldn't really get to you all and just like shout you out, but we were busy here for this one today. And if you all have not done so, hit that like button on your way out. We're gonna get out of here.
I want to shout out Yo Donnie.
Oh yeah, shout him out.
Donnie, he joined. He was
Yes,
out there in
sir.
LA with us. Yo Donnie, I see you in the chat, man. It's good seeing you and meeting you in person, fam.
Nice, yeah.
Donnie was awesome.
I didn't
Awesome
know-
brother to hang out with.
I didn't know he was out there like that. Okay, all right.
Yep.
Man.
So was Erodimus. Like, I took a picture with Erodimus.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just about the content creators, man. If you're so
Yeah.
inclined, you should
Yeah,
show
the
up. It was
community
good.
show up.
It was
That's
Facts.
dope. Yeah, I mean, well, Jodani is in so many different chats as far as a moderator.
yeah.
He's one of them. As far
Mhm.
I consider him just part of the brotherhood, and honestly, so yeah, shout out
Yeah.
shout out to you for being here, brother, and holding us down, as well as to my my brother Gray Monad, who's been here holding us down, and is typically here with us. So appreciate you both. And to Shooter, he's not often here because of health and things like that. But shout out to Shooter. But we'll get out of here, guys. I hope you all have a great weekend. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Infinite podcast, and hopefully Saturday if K is feeling as well as he can. Come by for the GCP to check him out. Myself, of course, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way on Twitter X. Tuesdays, Booms Podcast, Xbox Factor at 12 o'clock Eastern. Thursday, back here again with myself and Danny at 8 o'clock Eastern. Fridays, as Donte pointed out, the Infinite Podcast. We'll be having a good one tomorrow as well. So see you all later. You all have a good day or good night.
Peace.
Later.